On today's
Oh,
Poker Life podcast, we're joined again by the 8th or 9th time by the young prince, one of the most popular poker players in the world, one of the biggest winners of poker in the entire world, and a man who does more in retirement than anyone else I've ever met in my entire life, Fedor Holz. What's going on, guys? Join your one, a.k.a. Chicago Joey, a.k.a. $2,000 an hour, Mr. 2K hourly in the house. Before we get into it, I do want to say we had Sean D podcast on yesterday. You can check that out. Great podcast. I also have a lot of Pot Limit Omaha videos. The great game of Pot Limit Omaha videos on my channel as well. There's going to be videos going up all the time. I got nothing more to say. Let's get in the podcast. Joining me today is a young man who we first met. This guy, he was a spry, happy young man, smiling after he won the W Coupe, enjoying life. We've seen his progression from live poker success, from being drunk in the Bahamas, kicking lamps and getting out of line, from being out in the World Series, and from having one of the biggest summers ever, and then coming on the podcast and having a little bit of downtime there, to now the businessman chapter is here. The young prince is turning into a real prince. We're joining the podcast by Crown Up Guy, a.k.a. Fedor Holz. Poppy, welcome back to the podcast, man. It's good to have you.
thank you. That was the longest introduction you ever did, I think. Thanks for having me. Like, it's always been a blast, so I'm happy to be back.
Poppy, what's been going on, man? Last time we spoke to you, obviously, you know, you've been in retirement, and we just talked about this before we went on air. You've been you said you are really retired, and you've only played 5 tournaments this year. You just happened to final table 4 of them, so it's getting a little bit of publicity. And I understand it can be tough when you final table 80% of your tournaments. You know, it's got to be tough to deal with. But what's retirement life like, kid? I mean, I saw you in Miami at the Ultra Music Festival, and you look like you were having a pretty good time with your retired life.
Yeah, I was actually thinking like how many tournaments I've played. Obviously I ran really hot in the time I played this year. I haven't focused on poker at all, and that feels really good because the new stuff I've been into, it feels like my poker curve in terms of passion went like, you know, up there, and then like it peaked somewhere like around the 3-4 year mark, and then I was like, okay, when your perception changes more to like, okay, money's the focus, then you feel like nothing is enough, and I feel like that's not a great setting to be in. So I'm super happy to like have found a new passion for something where, you know, money's not that much involved right now, and it's just amazing to work with cool people.
Yeah, I mean, I know, I've talked to you for a couple months now. I've known about this project you're working on that I've been pretty excited to hear more about. So, I think we can kind of start with that if you want to start with that, because I know that's what you put a lot of time, energy in. You've been recording a lot of videos and recording a lot of content for that. So why don't we just start off with that, kid?
I mean, for sure. So let me just introduce what we've been working on. So basically, I founded a company last year, basically after the summer in Vegas. That was pretty rough. You know, I felt really burned out. I spent like 1 or 2 weeks just calming down. It was like, okay, like this is the time. Obviously, you know, I think I had it very easy after, you know, finishing the series. When you're successful, it's way easier to make the step out of poker. And I'm very, very glad in like retrospect to like that happened. And then I literally took like 1 or 2 months off and just went ahead and freed up that space. And I think that's something extremely important, because if you don't free up that space, and if you wait for that opportunity, you know, like people, they wait for that awesome opportunity to come up, and they're stuck in this like thing that they don't really want to do at the moment, but it takes up that time. And if you don't free up time for something new, it can't really happen that naturally. And I had to realize that too. And so the moment I freed it up, you know, new things that excite you like suddenly take place. And so I went to Chicago, consulted for like a big trading company there, and like learned a lot about trading and figured out why I definitely don't want to get into trading. And then, but no, I mean, it's, you know, it's poker, and I think it would have been, you know, fun, but I think it would have hit like the same roadblock basically.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, then I started talking to one of the people that runs the company, and really got more into the management part, and I really enjoyed a specific part of it, which is just the see people do awesome things part, which I always loved in poker. I always love the part of like experiencing something new. And I call it this like wow moment, right? Like you have this moment, you see someone doing something and I just love it. So like it's these little things where like some street musician is playing and I'm like always the guy that is like, if it's awesome, like I can stand there for like 20 minutes and just listen to him. And it's like these little moments that I really want to capture and enjoy more. And when I had these months of not doing that much that was driven by some outside pressure of like, you got to make money, you got to perform. Mm-hmm. And I just did something that I enjoy. Like I realized, okay, actually what got me good in poker was this kind of excitement for new things. It's like, you meet these people and they talk strategy and everyone is so excited and they all want to like figure out a new way to beat the game, and you can like approach it from this way and talk about it. And like, I just love the whole thing of like how everyone was excited, and it turned into this like, okay, let's grind and make money kind of thing. And yeah, so that's basically it. Yeah, that's like the core of my company is I want to create more of these wow moments. And I think a lot of people that a lot of people I've met, they share this in a certain way, because I feel like it's very connected to progress. Like we as humans, and from my perspective, we just enjoy seeing things progress. And I think that's something I enjoy a lot more compared to others. And like my whole like nature is just built in this direction. And so yeah, I wanna build more of a structure where people work together, and instead of like compete and work on like one goal, and wanna together create more of these moments and change the mindset towards creating more of these moments, and then like it snowballs into this bigger community where everyone is working in a more individual way, just trying to be creative and creating their own things, instead of you being working in a job or whatever where you're dependent on someone else and have to fulfill something. So less dependency and more individually creating things. So that's like the core idea of it. And so I think this is going to be a little longer explanation, but
no, it's listen, man. I feel like we got Google content. Man. I don't know. I'm excited to hear the rest here.
So basically, this is like the core idea, and so how I want to approach it is, obviously I understand that you can't just build these moments and that's it. Like you have to have a structure behind it. Like how do you approach this? And so the first thing is, what I realized in the last couple of years is, if you put together people that share this drive, it just works. Like the group that we created in poker, like the Germans, you know them, like a lot of people know them, like Rainer and Steffen and all these guys, and Ben.
They're all playing the 300K coming up here next month. So
exactly.
Don't worry, just look for the Germans.
Yeah. So that was crazy, because every one of them that continued to play poker was successful, and they all made it to the highest stakes. And I feel like this structure that wasn't luck. Like obviously some of us performed better, some did like slightly better decisions, and it was it ended up being at a more individual level, and luck is obviously a huge factor. But the core of it was so productive. There were like moments when we spent like 6 weeks in a boot camp in Canada together, where it really felt like you advanced like 1.5 years, because you had this amazing setup and everyone was trying to create value for the group, and that, I don't remember the last time that really happened to me. And so I just went ahead and I was like, okay, who do I know that shares this feeling, like who shares these feelings and who wants to create something like that as well? And so 2 German friends of mine, like Felix and Nicholas, we are the life histories, like Nicholas is, he just turned 28. He used to live in Cologne. He's now moving to Vienna. He did, basically, I think he finished two studies, then he went into brain research. Basically, it's like how your brain works in space. Worked on a really interesting project on that, wanted to become like basically a professor at the university. So and it's just, you know, every time I talk to him, I just felt like, wow, like this really, like, you know, he always, everything he says has value, and he's like very just someone that really makes me progress, and he thinks in the same direction as well. And yeah, so I talked to him, and I talked to Felix as well. He's a little younger. He's my age. He studied physics. Like, he's always been excelling at math and physics, and has like a really abstract way to think about things. And he like literally, we met in school and then lost each other, and then we talked again after a couple of years. And so he got an offer from Berkeley, which is kind of awesome for someone studying in Germany for physics. And so then he turned that down and like camped in front of SpaceX headquarters to try to get to work there. So like, you know, this is kind of the attitude that like me personally, it's just like exciting me, and I have to laugh now because it's like, it makes me happy to see people, you know, they want something and they think something is amazing, and I just want to be part of it, you know. And it's like it's not that driven by outer influences. It's more like something like, I want to be part of this and I love this, so let's go. So yeah, and we started this company together, and it's called Primed. So Primed, because we want to, like, as a long-term goal, where I want to be is that we somehow can change the mindset of people. Like, I want to change the mindset of people to think more individual and be more creative. That's based on the idea, what I talked about before. But also, have you read the book Think and Grow Rich? I think we talked about this before.
Yeah, I've read a bit of it. I usually just kind of read through books and find chapters that sound most interesting to me.
So Napoleon Hill writes about it. Super interesting. So he basically talks about, you know, like how.
Oh, like a group of people. Yeah.
Mastermind. Yeah. Right, so like how a group of people that is connected in minds is like way stronger than like any individual in like mass, basically. So this is also like, when I read this, I was like, yeah, that fits exactly, you know, like the way I think about things is when you connect them, it just overpowers like an individual that tries to go in the same direction. But still, he also talks about how they're, you know, they're individual. They're not like dependent from each other. They're more like become kind of thinking in like as one individual, which is an interesting concept, I think. So yeah, that's the basis. And so now, I mean, since then, that was like the first September or October last year. And so since then, a lot of things happened. We're 7 people now. We're moving into an office in Vienna next month. So I'm super hyped. And so yeah, I mean, what we've been working on now, I mean, there's one area that is that I'm specifically interested in right now, and it's creating like, or incubating like in-house products. So I want to give people the platform to create that, you know, whatever fits with that mindset. And I think what is really helpful there is that, you know, like if I think something is amazing, I can persuade people. Like, that's like, because I have this excitement in me about this thing that someone talked to me about, that I can persuade other people. So like, so far it's actually funny that it's way harder to find like these people than it is to find the resources. Whereas a lot of people are like complaining about not finding resources, right? So like, you know, you don't find money, you don't find strategic partners. That's like no issue at all for us. It's more like finding the people where you actually feel like everything clicks, everything is at the right point. So yeah, I mean, long-term goals, definitely building a co-working space, kind of like hub in Vienna, and like create this magnet for these people, and create like a wow factory, you know, like where you have all these amazing moments. Like every day you can walk in, like have, you know, 50 people that work on their own things and want to create something and just be, you know, like productive. And that's basically where I want to be. And so our first product, to make this happen, because I thought, you know, if I want to build this big structure, I have to start somewhere to test and see, because there's going to be failure And I'm in because this feels really, really right to me. So I'm planning for this for like years to come. So I want to build a very naturally growing structure. And for that, I feel like starting with an app is a really good idea because it combines a lot of different areas, but it doesn't need too many resources. So it combines like design, marketing, IT, back and front end. It designs like it combines like project management, finances, startup, so founding, the legal stuff. So you basically get like an insight into everything without like, you know, like having too big of a challenge. Yeah, so that was my first idea. And then I sat down and I was like, okay, what do I really like? And what are the factors that I think really matter with an app? And so factor number one, I think, is frequency. Like how often do people use an app? I think high frequency is one of the most important factors for an app. People have to use an app a lot. And then the second factor I think is very important is accessibility. Like what Uber did, or like back then, you know, what WhatsApp did or what Facebook did, they just made something that is extremely inaccessible accessible. So, you know, the community and chatting to people was not accessible. You know, like Snapchat, they take something like people, you know, like it sounds really simple. And once it's done, you know, it loses the whole value because now it's accessible. That's why like all these copycats don't work anymore, because it's already so easy to access that it loses like any kind of value for a new company. So based on these two things, I was thinking, what do I really value? And so the first thing that I thought about is the mindset coaching, because basically since I started doing it, like I just felt like, you know, I was playing on a different level. And I was like, I took these tapes, I listened to them like, I don't know, once a week, listened to them before final tables, did one-on-one sessions with Elliot. And I was like, why don't people have this for everyday situations? Right? Like, why don't you use this before like an exam? Or why don't you use this at, you know, every morning? Because it takes me like 10 minutes and it's definitely increasing my value of the day by like, I don't know, 10%, 20% sometimes. So now if I'm in a situation that really matters, then like, why should I not, you know, I should always do this every day. And so I sat down with Elliot and I talked to him about it, and we're like, okay, let's work out something where we can like put your content in like the best possible way in a shorter version. And so that's now where maybe the brand itself makes more sense. Like Primed, I want to create, it's funny that you mentioned Google. I want to create like sub brands that all serve this purpose. So now Primed Mind is our first product. So it's basically priming your mind. So we want to have this app, which we already created and will launch in May. And actually, you guys can check it out. Let me just see. primedmind.com.
I believe the website is up right now, because I've seen that website recently.
Yeah, primedmind.com. Just type that in. Like
the young Prince Fedor Holz, ladies and gentlemen. Now he's gone full circle over these past years. He's gone from W Coop winner in a couple of short years to now he's starting the next Google potentially here. The next, who knows, man? Who knows what? It sounds like you got some very high aspirations and very high dreams for this idea.
I mean, there's like literally, I think from the experiences I made so far, I've met a lot of people now, and I've met a lot of people that run successful businesses, like businesses that might be successful in the future. And I feel like the one thing I've always seen is if you pour in energy into something and you do it smart and you try to optimize it and you do it for a consistent amount of time, it works out. Like all these guys I've met, you know, they're always like, yeah, of course I sucked in the beginning and I had no idea what I was doing. Like, I'm not pretending, you know, to know it all, but like I have, you know, 4 or 5 people that really want to work hard on something. And, you know, I put my time into finding more people, and I put my time into like trying to put the focus on the right project. So you'll learn over time. And the cool thing is, you know, you get this feedback from all these guys that have been successful, and, you know, that helps so much because it gives you like this kind of feedback loop, but it also they also tell you when something is really shit. So I don't know, like I'm so excited about that, because every day, you know, like you learn something new and meet new people, and it's just amazing. So yeah, I mean, you guys definitely should check it out. It's primemind.com. And so basically how it works, you have an MP3 that is customized like by Elliot Rowe. It's like a famous mindset coach in like the poker community, I would say, and also a little beyond. You're checking it out, Puffy?
I'm looking at it right now. So I've seen Elliot's site.
Yeah, so unfortunately, yeah.
Yes, guys.
So
yes, guys. Someone said, "Am I doing infomercials now?" Yes, this infomercial is sponsored by the by the Canadian CPA Association, an unnamed Canadian CPA company in Canada, I believe, sponsored this podcast. They went ahead, they paid for this. So yeah, that's already taken care of.
Yeah, I paid. Well, wait, it was $2,000, right, to be in the pod.
Yeah, yeah, it was yeah. But they took care of the $2,000 for you, Fedor. Don't worry about it. They took care of the fee for you. You don't got to worry. It ain't coming out of yours today. So I appreciate them taking care of it.
I will keep advertising for it, because literally, like we showed these. So it's basically MP3s, about 10 minutes. You can use it for like either topics or primers. So it's like for a specific situation. And we also have ambassadors in there. We have like professional Counter-Strike player that is really famous, NBK, maybe some people know. We have we're talking to other like sports people right now that are very interested. We have like Dwayne Ludwig that a lot of American people know. So they sit down with Elliot and they create pro content for their specific area. So if you're a martial artist, you know, if you're in UFC, like Dwayne Ludwig, like I think he's twice coach of the year in UFC or something, and world champion as well. So he's sitting down with Elliot and trying to create like the best possible, you know, like MP3 to prime you for a session. And like I sat down with him and I created poker MP3s with him. And like why I'm so, you know, passionate about it is because the MP3s, the feedback was insane. Like I think we showed maybe 100 people, a little over 100 people maybe. And we maybe got like two people that they were like, you know, that was okay. And like 98 were like, you know, how can I get more? And so that it's like, because so much work went into this, like the whole back end and front end, and the app's looking really, really nice right now. So I'm pretty hyped about this. And I know this is only the beginning, but so yeah, I mean, this is how it's gonna look like. Have like some cool, it's already on my phone, so maybe soon on your phone as well.
That's awesome, man.
Commercial finished.
Commercial finish. No, I mean, this sounds a lot like kind of the idea GTO Club I came up with back a bunch of months ago. Was like a similar idea. It was about the idea of a mastermind and putting together like-minded people in a more sort of intense setting where it's just every day you're surrounded by people who are like-minded, who are offering value in different ways, and you offer value in other ways, and you sort of bring those people together. You get them to work as, you know, they work individually, but they still work as a team to accomplish their goals and will get better at different things that they might not even know much about yet. So it's kind of like, I mean, I feel like, you know, that's sort of something I've been doing these past 8-9 months, just thinking about more. And it sounds like this is definitely the same kind of path you're thinking about, which is that just sort of grow that mind, something that they don't teach you in school, something that they don't really teach you in college, something that you sort of abandon as you get older in your mid-20s. I mean, obviously you wouldn't know, a young kid like yourself, 23, I haven't hit that point yet, being a young guy, young prince. But yeah, I mean, as you get older, you know, obviously our lives change. We get more responsibility. We get a family, we get kids, not me, bang, bang. But we get all these things and we go apart from that community aspect or that working together with other people aspect of things too. So, and I mean, I've worked at a lot of co-working spaces too, and co-working spaces, if anyone plays poker online, you should definitely check out going to a co-working space. They have them all over the world. It's just, you're around people, the energy is high, and yeah, it's really good. So I guess about the app then, so when's this going live? When's the official bam?
So we almost have it done. There's like a couple of things we want to fix. Also like the specific tapes with the pros. And we will be live. I definitely want to have it live before the Super High Roller Bowl, so it will be like mid-end May. That's like the that's the setting right now. So pretty excited for that.
So is there a chess category on the app too?
It's funny. We definitely want to have a chess category. We tried to reach out to Magnus Carlsen. He's like world champ. Really cool guy. And yeah, trying to get him on. So
why not? Why wouldn't you?
If you're watching Magnus,
why wouldn't you try to get one of the top chess players in the entire world on? Why not?
Oh, of course.
You know, probably plays chess in many different places. I think he's like a great player at all forms of chess too. You got blitz chess, you got late night chess, you got time chess, you got all kind of matches. Sometimes playing blindfolded chess. So I know he's got his own app out there I play on sometimes too. So I mean, he's like a master of multiple forms of chess. And I mean, I don't know. Obviously that's it. What do you think the odds of getting somebody like him to work together on this would be?
I don't think it's that unlikely. I mean, like, I think it would be quite interesting for him as well to have specific chess tapes. Like, I really think that these tapes are useful for anyone in any sport. Like, I think whatever high performance you do, you know, like it's very interesting, like very important.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited for this. What's the pricing going to be? What are we looking at here for people?
So we want to do it at $15 per month. So if you compare it, like, the one thing that was really important to me is that we, like, a lot of things that annoy me is if you overpromise and underdeliver. So I really want to make sure that we overpromise and overdeliver. And so I think, like, if you look only at one tape, I think Elliot is selling one tape at around, I don't know, maybe 5 tapes or something, more than that. So we will have over 120 or so tapes, over 100 tapes for sure in the app. So with more and more content coming, and like influencers in the range of 100K to 1 million followers. So we have a couple of really cool people already being quite excited. And I think, you know, that's like the proof that I needed, is like, you know, you show it to like someone and he's like, oh wow, this is amazing. And then he's like, yeah, sure, like, let's do something together. And that's where we're at right now.
So there's 15 a month, 15 one-time fee?
15 a month, yeah.
15 a month. Okay. I mean, obviously I feel like it's will be worth it for most people out there, assuming that they then use it. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm excited about this. You said mid-May, you got about 100 potential tapes out there. And so for poker players out there, how valuable do you think something like this might be for poker players specifically, just in terms of when it comes to poker?
I think that's the big thing is we had, I mean, I can say that, like, we had a lot of discussions about this because, I mean, I think this app is not poker specific, and we didn't want to position it like this because I actually, like, Elliot is doing most of this content for poker players. But I want to get it further because I feel like, you know, this is useful for anyone that wants to improve and reflect on certain things, or like reflected on certain things and now wants to, you know, like get started and change things and like perform. And I think for poker players, this is like a snap. Like, we literally were thinking about splitting the app in like maybe 2 subscriptions because the poker content is, I think, like, you know, like if you play higher than, I mean, just think about it. If you listen to it, you know, once a day for like 10 minutes, and that's like 50 cents a day. If it just, you know, helps you like, I don't know, 1%, 2% a day, it's already worth it. So, or like way more than worth it if you play decent stakes. And I think in most cases, you know, it could like totally change the way you're approaching the game. So not be 1%, but be like, I don't know, 30%. So I think for a poker player, it's a must-have basically, especially because we will do, you know, like live, we will do online cash tourneys, like getting rid of tilt basically, preparing for a session. So I think, you know, if you play any form of poker, we were actually thinking about doing a PLO one.
Oh my God, I can already see the PLO one. If you will lose with aces here to Jack 7 4 5 offsuit against a fun player repetitively. Do not tilt. Do not go wild. Getting your money in is a 62% favorite pre-flop against the Jack 7, 4, 5 with no suits is going to be profitable in the long run. Don't lose your mind and read it and adjust poorly to the fun player.
Do you know what my comment was when Elliot proposed like we do PLO? I just said, you know, that the do not tilt and PLO table would be the same. So, you know, like adjust to variance.
I'm curious what you come up with for the Great Game of Potluck in Omaha section of this, because the high level players I know, man, there's some cuckoo motherfuckers, man, degenerates, psychotics. So I want to hear like who's going to be reading this off, because I want to make, I don't know who that person might be who's going to say, hey, don't tilt here, because I don't know, man. A lot of people, maybe Jungle Man might do it. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Also, there's like a fun little teaser of me, like little video that was really fun to film. The guys did like an amazing job. So check that out. That was pretty dope. Can't wait to share this, because that was actually like that's a really cool video, I think. It's like I think 2-minute clip or something.
Yeah, I think something like this is very, very good for a lot of poker players, because, you know, I've always talked about with people having these affirmations that you say before you go into the session. So that way you start the session off. I mean, it sounds very similar where you're priming your mind. If you go into the session with a positive outlook, you sort of get the run bad out of your mind. You sort of have this, and you just sort of tell yourself these things before you play your session. And, you know, I usually like to put that sort of in mind with my game plan. So I have my game plan and have that as I go into my sessions and mix those two together. So
totally.
Yeah, I think that's a very underrated thing. I mean, no one really talks about that. It's not really any training videos or anything. And a lot of these like mindset stuff and these sort of improving on your soft skills is a big thing of what I wrote about in my book, Chasing the Poker Dream, Quality Successful Poker Player, another profit that I won, bang, bang. But this is sort of that, it sounds like that too, is that you're trying to improve different parts of your mindset. And then that way your poker actual theory and knowledge has a better chance to shine through, because these other qualities that you can't necessarily study are then getting improved and getting better.
Exactly. I feel like this like snowball effect is crazy. You change one thing, you change your perspective, and suddenly a lot of other things look different. And then you work on them and you realize, oh wow, like I've been doing this in a weird way for quite some time. So, and then you keep working on it and you realize you get into this new kind of mindset where you approach things completely different, and you learn things in a completely different way. And that's such a fulfilling feeling, because especially if you've been stuck in a certain mindset for like a couple of years, that's amazing.
Very excited for this, man. I mean, so what are you going to be doing any actual poker? I know you've done Run It Once stuff in the past. So is there going to be any sort of tournament stuff? I mean, I'm sure a lot of poker players out there, you know, I know you're doing the seminar before where you were going to make like $75 million during that one-time seminar. Is there any sort of poker ideas, poker things planned in the future here for people that might be interested in that as well?
Actually, there is another thing
I'm
planning on that I'm extremely excited about. It's actually, like this is, you know, I'll keep this one secret for now because we haven't even started with it, but that's like the moment we launch this one. Actually, like I already talked to our designer yesterday and he's super excited about it too. Like this was the first thing I told it to maybe 10 or 15 people and everyone was like, you know, how can I invest? And I was like, that's a good sign. If people are like so hyped about it, then I want to pursue this. And so that's like the next project I want to work on. And then once we move into the office here in Vienna in June, then like we look for 1-2 other people to hire, like app developers. So if there's anyone out there, you know, that wants to relocate to Vienna that is like really sick at mobile app development and like, or a full stack developer or something, like hit me up, because like we want to build something big. So we're looking for people that, you know, want to grow and have some fun with some people that want to change something.
So is it primed poker, primed tournaments, or
no, not poker?
Not poker.
No, way bigger than that, but it could include it, you know. So it's like it's basically a knowledge app kind of idea that has a specific twist, and so I think that could be really amazing. I'll tell you more once we have like a little I don't know, once we're further. Otherwise, someone, you know, steals it. And
I don't know, man. It sounds like, obviously idea is only one thing. The ability to execute that idea and put people around you to be able to help you with it, it's a completely other challenge on its own.
100%. It's just really fun how I think that's one of the first ideas where normally I'm making fun of people that, you know, like oh, sign an NDA or whatever, but I'm not going to tell you about my idea, because I'm like, you know, like it just matters how good you do it, and it just gives you more value. I normally always talk about what we're doing, and like from the first minute, you know, like this is our plans, this is what I want to do, because it actually connects and gets you more. They give you good feedback. They like maybe know someone that can help you, or like they can put you in touch with someone, and then I'm always like, oh, why should I sign an NDA for like, you know, just an idea? Like probably 500 people already had that idea anyway. But now this time, actually, because it's quite, I feel like there are some things out there like that, and that's a certain twist that makes it a lot more useful than how people use it right now. So let's see how we can execute it, and then I can tell you how we failed or succeeded.
So you feel like in what, like 6-7 years, we could be seeing this primed, these different arms of a primed sort of thing, these multiple different.
Oh, 100%. Like every single, because this feeling, I don't know if you guys have this sometimes, or if you have this sometimes. I have this every day. I'm literally walking by something. Funny moment when I felt the worst about this lately is I was sitting at an American airport the 5th time in like, I don't know, 10 days or something, the Miami thing. And I was like, there is, like, it's not even okay, you know, there's only shit food. And like, you can't find anything that, you know, you want to eat. Nowhere. Like, there's nothing. There's like the thing, you know, where it's a line with like literally 50 people in every airport is Starbucks. And everything else is like terrible, terrible fast food. And I have no idea like how people, you know, like how anyone wants to eat this anymore. Like after we have, you know, so many good options in like the cities. And I'm thinking like, how is there no one that, you know, like just did this? And I mean, that was just one thing, but I was, you know, like there has to be, you know, if there's Elon Musk in the food industry, he would go there and he would do it, and then it would be amazing, and he would have amazing food everywhere you go. So I was just thinking, you know, you just have to put people in that spot, because a lot of people are annoyed by it. And there's, out of all these people that are annoyed by it, there's like probably a couple of people that would have the abilities to change it, but maybe they don't have the mindset, you know, like maybe they grew up and everyone told them like, you know, you can't do it. You got to go that way. You got to study, you got to have a job, and then you got to die. Like, I feel like that's the bar for people to take a risk is weird in certain moments. And I want to take that away and empower them in a way to change things. So prime food is an idea.
Everything's coming prime food. Well, then obviously in that situation, I'm sure you got a lot of ideas. If you walk around and you're be able to spot inefficiencies in multiple different places. I mean, if you just like go on a walk through different places, like an airport, you see food. I mean, there's so many different things, I'm sure, from waste management or from resources. And how do you decide then in that spot? Well, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to work on that, I want to work on that, because then it's like, well, now your mind's in 55 different places, and it seems like it'd be hard to focus on sort of one or two different things.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just, I think it just opened my mind to, you know, I'm not going to go out there and like start 5 different branches and then, you know, pretend to be, you know, someone that I'm not. Like, I know I got to start small, you know, like we do all the things startups do as well. You know, we build our own things in our office, and we try to, you know, stay like don't spend much money, and we try to outsource with freelancers. And we like, I learned a lot of things in Illustrator and Photoshop and whatever, and experience design, and you do wireframes yourself. And like in the beginning, we didn't spend a single cent for like a couple of months, and did everything on our own for the app. And so we could hand it to like a developer, and he could do like, and we saved 60-70% of the cost. So I think we know really well where we're at. I just realized that I forgot to dream in my last years of poker. You know, I was like, now I'm walking outside and I'm like, you know, this would be amazing if you could change this. And like, you start to have these ideas, and you don't feel like you have to, you know, you don't have to do it anymore, but it feels good to like think about it. And it feels good to like walk outside and think about all these things that, you know, could progress and could become more awesome. And you could, you know, build this world that is just a little more awesome than it is already.
So it sounds like you really are retired from poker, my friend. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I get the feeling to retire. You're very retired from poker.
I mean, I wasn't joking, and I'm like, I know a lot of people made fun of it, but if you actually look back at it, I think maybe in a range, I maybe played in a range of 15 tournaments. So since last year summer, I played Barcelona, that went well, and then Aussie and Macau, and I think that might even be it. So yeah, like I did play last Sunday for charity, and I don't know, like I don't enjoy like online really, like I don't enjoy it at all. I can't even focus that much anymore on it. I just feel like I can't create anything there anymore. You know, like there's no leverage for me that I want to create. There's so many other projects that I'm just way more excited about.
Fedor's got all the lingo down, man. You got all the lingo down, all the businessman lingo down already.
Oh yeah.
This is like Doug's this is like talking to Doug's transition from 1 month to like 3 months later. It's like now he's using all the business terms here.
Yeah.
You got to start using micro and macro. I haven't heard you use micro and macro one time today, so I feel like micro. You got to go micro.
I'll try to sneak it in at one point.
You got to, man. So okay, poker then. So obviously
poker.
You know, people out there, fans want to know a little bit about poker. I mean, I talk about this for 10 hours. This is kind of stuff I'm interested in right now. But, you know, a lot of people out there are interested in your poker stuff too, because a lot of people are big fans of just yourself and your success that you've had. So it sounds like no scoop coming up potentially. And then are you going to plan to play the 300K or you sort of, what are you thinking?
I'm already signed up for the 300K, so there's no out for that. So my perception, or like, you know, how my feelings towards poker, just I don't think they changed actually. I mean, they developed over time. It just took me like a clean cut to like actually get to the point where I want to be. So how I feel about poker right now is just I want to play the things. I think I talked about this before, where I think there's a certain topic, you know, and you have like weak or like the lowest value hours to like the top value hours, and that value decreases and increases. And there are certain things where the value is maybe like kind of stable, you know, or like very stable in terms of a job, for example. And then there is poker where it's like this. So there's certain hours where you have no hourly and you have no fun. And then there are certain hours where you have an insane hourly and a lot of fun. So, I mean, my decision was just this. Basically, like when I started playing poker, I always had fun. We just talked about this today. Like it's so weird when you think about it now from a macro perspective. So back then I was so like, I didn't want to stay at home. I went on a trip and I was like, dude, man, this is amazing. I want to play this $200 tournament right now, and I can't wait to sit down and like don't talk to all these guys and fold my deuce 7 off for like another 3 hours. This is life, you know. And then I do this for 3 years, and then afterwards I'm like, you know, maybe level 2 with like 600 big steep is not necessarily the most exciting life thing to do. So, you know, I think it's totally reasonable. It just exhausts over time. Like if you've done it 100 times or 200 times, like it's just nothing exciting anymore. So the value decreases. So I think the natural thing to do is that you progress and then you change the way you treat this activity. And so to me, it's like, okay, what do? I cut it to the hours where I have a lot of value personally. So that's, I mean, like Monte Carlo has a lot of personal value to me where I'm playing tomorrow. Because I really enjoy playing poker and like using my brain to think about it. And I can see my friends, and you know, it's sunny and you you're just gonna have a good time. So that, that's like basically just the way I approach poker right now. And yeah, that's the only thing that changed. So you will see me definitely in the area, because these high rollers, that feels like being back in 2014 and grinding online and like being excited for every Sunday. And that's my new approach to poker, and I'm extremely happy with that, and I'll could continue doing it like that.
So you're going to Monte Carlo. Obviously, there's some big Monte Carlo thing that's going on very soon. They'll have big cash games out there, and I think some big tournaments out there as well.
Yeah, it's 100K tomorrow, so I'll fly in and then hop in that one. And then there is a 50K, and then I mean they always have like a couple turbos and like maybe 1-2 side events. I'll probably not play the main because I got to get back and have some things to do here. And another 25K. So they have a really nice schedule there, and so that's going to be a lot of fun.
Let's see a comment here from Alfred. He says, see, that's what I don't fully understand. If you retire, you can't play poker ever again, or am I not thinking hard enough about this?
I mean, like, I never understood why people, like, I don't know, had an issue with me saying I retire. I mean, in the beginning, it was obviously like a joke, because they did like a 1 million buy-in tournament for businessmen invitational, and then like half of the field was some weird regs that just nobody knows their name except like everyone that plays high stakes, and we're like, what the hell is this? And so I was like, okay, yeah, sure, I'm retired too. In 2 months you can invite me. And I actually, over a contact, I wrote them an email, and they responded to me. And then like the second guy that responded to me was like, oh no, I know who you are. Like, you're not gonna participate. I was like, because I introduced, like businessman and blah blah blah. So that was kind of funny. But that was the beginning of it. And then, like, I mean, to me, it feels like retirement. I went from playing, I don't know, maybe like 60, 70 hours a week to like, on average, maybe 4 hours a week or something. Like, I think that's a pretty clean cut. So to me, that's retirement.
Yeah, I mean, you went from not being a professional poker player anymore to, yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? You retire doesn't mean you have to stop playing completely, especially with poker, where, I mean, you can do it anytime you want. You can go play a tournament at the casino, or you could load up online and play, and it's.
Yeah, I mean, I like, like, what is Bill Perkins? I don't know. Like, is he a professional poker player?
What is Bill Perkins? That's a great question.
No,
what is
like, right? Like, he's not a professional poker player, but still he plays poker. Like, what? Yeah, maybe he's not retired from poker, but like, I think it's reason. Whatever. I mean, it's not an important discussion. Like, to me, it feels like retirement. Maybe to others it doesn't. Whatever. Like, not that important.
Big shout out to Bill Perkins.
Shout out to Bill Perkins.
Bill Perkins, living very GT. Have you talked with Bill Perkins about any of this stuff before? I feel like you two would enjoy a conversation with each other.
300K last year. Yeah, we had a bet. There. That was fun.
Oh, bet. Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of bet?
Just a simple one. Like, he wanted to buy more action of himself, so I offered him. I think it was like day 1 or day 2, and he wanted to buy more action of himself, and we did a little.
You were happy to
little gamble.
You were happy to take that from him?
It was like, he's funny. With him, it's always like negotiating back and forth. It's like, yeah, I can't do this, and then it's like this. It's like 18K and 14K and 25K, and it's like, yeah, it's really fun. But no, I mean, I don't know. Like, a couple of people were involved at the table. It was just like a fun thing. It was not a serious one. It was just a little gamble.
Shout out to Bill Perkins, by the way. He's doing a lot of cool things for poker right now. He's doing just did the Twitch stream boat.
Yeah, that sounds really awesome. I've seen their setup. Like, that looks really fun. Like, especially the stream boat. I mean, that looks really dope.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing a lot of cool things for poker right now in terms of just the giveaways, the monthly furls every month. I'm sure he's going to do something for the World Series of Poker main event. He sent random people down to the PCA for the Bahamas this year. So I feel like having some, it's very rare to see something like that in poker world. So I think it's great that he's involved in poker that much.
Yeah, I was really surprised. Like I'd be interesting to hear like what's his drive and why he's into it. But it's like the result seems cool.
So you got 300K coming up too, right? 300K super high rollerball.
Yeah, I mean, if it would be only the 300K, I mean that I might come back as a broke poker player. I don't know, man. I mean that's a crazy week. It's like a 10-day time and like 1 million buy-ins or something. Like it's insanity.
What else is going on out there in between the 100K?
Okay, so I hope I don't get this wrong, but let's say, I think it's 24th on till 4th of June, and it's 25K, 50K, 100K, 300K, 50K, 50K, 100K, 25K, 25K, with multiple entries. So that's gonna be
all at the Aria, back to back.
No, I think one. The last 100K is the one drop at the WSOP, but everything else is at the Aria. They load it up, man. They load it up. We're gonna walk in there.
How many Germans you got out there for this one, kid? How many Germans you got going?
Four
Germans.
So 1 million buy-ins, 4 guys. Let's fucking go.
1 million buy-in each guy.
I think it's I think it's like depends, the re-entries and the 100 and the 50K, but I think it was like 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah, like approximately 900K or so per person, I think.
So you're saying you're going to win about $35 million the first 10 days of the World Series this year?
I mean, most likely, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, you were pretty upset with how the Super High Rollerball did their thing when they did the lottery, and then they did. Forgot exactly how that second part worked, but you were upset about that on Twitter.
I mean, I really have to watch out with the whole Twitter thing. It's like, it comes across like I'm super upset about it. I was just like, you know what, like that doesn't make sense. And it's just like the wording, I think I said like, what the fuck? I think it's always so hard to, when you come across by like writing and you actually like, I would be like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, what is this? And they hear like, what the fuck? So what I meant is it just doesn't make sense. It's logically like I think it's a bad way to handle business when people sign, I don't know if you're familiar with how it worked, but you had to like deposit 30K.
Right.
So that changes things to me. Like, if it's a tournament and they're like, we changed this, like I'm fine. But like you deposit 30K and you sign their stuff. I don't know, it says, like they can change, but I think there's a certain I just felt like there's a certain responsibility towards the players as well.
So you can understand from their perspective, obviously, they get someone who may be talkative or maybe someone who's going to be on camera compared to maybe some of the German guys who no one really knows much about.
I'm 100% like from their decision, like I'm 100% on the same page. But if they say like, hey guys, we want to have the best experiences, we have sponsors, we're like on TV, and they just say that, and like they invite, like, let's say they lock 20 people in the beginning, nobody would say anything. But doing the draft and then locking in the people, I think that was not like the best way to do it, because then basically you're free rolling. It's like changing the equities from like the people, which I think is it's not like the perfect way to handle it. And I was like, okay, like why do you even do it? Because it would be better to lock in the people that you want to have anyway, and then let the other people like gamble for it. So that's the only, and I mean, to me, like, I think a lot of people got that wrong as well. Like, to me, the result was perfect. Like, all the people I buy shares and got a seat first thing. And so I got a seat, my friends got a seat. So I think that was, a lot of people misunderstood that. Like, I wasn't complaining. I was actually complaining for the people that I don't know that well that didn't get a seat, because, like, would have been a different situation if they would have handled it differently. That's all I was saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't really know the specifics of how that beginning part went. I know a lot of guys who did wire that money over, who were then put to the draft, who did not get chosen. And then I know they did some sort of thing where they gave away some amount of seats, and they added some more seats, I believe, too. I'm not sure the specifics on how that works out.
Or 6. But in the end, I'm super happy how they run their tournaments. Like, I love playing at Aria. It's my favorite place to play. This is not a this is not an infomercial. I just really love that casino. It's like they run their tournaments. I think they run the tournaments really well. The structures are really well because they talk to players.
This podcast sponsored by Aria Hotel and Casino. Play at the Aria Hotel and Casino's World Series of Poker with 1-2-5, 2-5-10, 5-10-20 pot limit Omaha games. Some of the longest wait lists you ever find in your life. The Aria Casino, proud sponsor of this segment of the Poker Live podcast. Thank you very much.
I need a cap. Where's my cap?
Where's Ben Lamb at? Ben Lamb's got the Aria cap on. I see Ben Lamb. I see him walking around with the Aria cap on right now. He's never not worn that Aria cap. You got to pick Ben Lamb when you're there. He'll get you the cap.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just a fun experience. That's why I'm just flying there for this, so that I enjoy playing there, and they provide high roller tournaments like nicely. Also, I've seen some of their future plans. That looks pretty exciting. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, from a spectator standpoint, I think most of the poker community is excited to watch it as well. Last year, I feel like it was amazing. You obviously, you did well, of course. You had a good time. And kind of, so one thing I've heard from people, and I think we discussed this before in the podcast, is now that, so now you say there's 3 other Germans playing, and now people, other high rollers, other people playing know that there is, some sort of swapping going on, or maybe you're the person that stakes these guys or anything like that. And I know a lot of people maybe worried about something happening in that situation. I know we talked about this before, but it seems like now is another time to bring it back up. It seems like now there's a couple more guys added to the mix, and that can make for a weird dynamic if it's 7-8 handed, and then there's 3 guys at the table like that.
I mean, you're not the first person that brings this up to me, to be honest. So from my perspective, this was very, very simple. Like, I've been playing with my friends for a long time now. Like, I don't know how many final tables we've played at. I don't know how many hours we've played at. We travel, like, I don't know, it's like 5 to 8 of us, and we travel to like tournaments all the time, and have extra all the time. And there's a certain point where you just, I don't think I ever changed the way I play against one of them. And at this point in time, I'm like, I think people unintentionally, even if they don't have shares, they do it way, way more than me, because I've been dealing with it for such a long time. In the beginning, you have these issues. Like 5 years ago, when I started playing poker, was the first time when I played with a friend on the final table. And you're like, you have no idea what you're doing, and you're like, oh, I don't want to bust my friend, and da-da-da. And I don't think there were even shares involved. And then, you play like hundreds of hours online and live, and it just disappears, because there's this rhythm of like, first you're like, oh, now I realize, okay, maybe I don't behave rationally right now. And then I'm like, okay, but it's poker. So it's like, I treat him like the same way I treat any other person as well. And in the beginning, you have these weird ego things as well. And like, you just, work on this and you get over it. And after a certain time, it doesn't matter. Like, I play with Reiner and Stefan and Korai. Like, I play with them all the time, and we just play the same way, like just the same way we play against others as well. And I think in this situation, you just can't win. Like, they will always think in every single situation that we did, like, they will always, like, you see one thing and they'll perceive it like in a weird way. And so I'm just gonna do my thing and play my game. And I've seen so many, like, I've seen so many things in super high rollers and high rollers that are worse than probably the worst thing I ever did. That I'm like, these guys, and they probably don't even do it because they have shares. It's just because they're friendly and they like hang out all the time. And I'm like, okay, like, I did my best to not think about them as friends and just think about them as like players. And at this point, to be quite honest, I don't care about the money when I play. So I'm just playing, and I just want to win. So that's my take on this.
I like it, man. I like it. I mean, obviously, as you mentioned, there is things that do go on in these high roller bowls. A lot of people have personal relationships with each other. Some people are swapping behind the scenes. Some people are buying complete action behind the scenes. So I feel like with you guys, it is out there, so people do know it. Whereas some of the other stuff that does go on isn't necessarily as public or out there too. So, I mean, I think that's a great point you make, and about it, it does go on. And I mean, I guess, you know, what can people do really is, I don't know, like you can't necessarily stop it. It is what it is. And you basically said, I'm going to try to do it this way. This is how I'm going to do it. And then I don't know, I guess if it's until there's a reason to think otherwise or say otherwise, then I guess it's not an issue.
I mean, there's actually even been situations, you know, where I offered people like deals where I told them like, hey, I have a big piece of this guy. You know, if you want to deal, we can deal at ICM. Like, I would normally not do that, but if you know, I can understand how it's uncomfortable for you to play against us. Like things like that. You know, if I would like to scam 3-handed when you play for millions, would be one of the easiest things, you know, to play against one other guy. So,
as you showed last year.
Yeah, I mean that was the situation. Like he asked me, and I told him like right away, you know, I have like that's the piece I have myself. That's the piece I have of him. Like, you know, we can deal, and we just do ICM, and we're gonna be fine. Like if I wanted to, like, you know, we sit down, we talk a little bit. Nobody will ever find out. So I'm like, you know, you can cheat so easily in these games. So, like, you know, like not cheat, but like take money from someone else, basically. However, how much it is, you know, depends how crazy you are, but or like how far you take it. But I've always, like, even the last time, you know, like I always tell people, like, you know, this, I have a piece of this guy, even if it's a final table, I go to them and like, I have a piece of this guy, but you know, I tell you, like, we play all the time, there's nothing. And so I'm very transparent with who I have action off and who I don't, and people can watch as much of the coverage. I mean, that's another thing. Like, I think there's maybe 10 plus or 15 or 20, even more, I think 30, 40 hours of footage where I play with horses of mine that, I don't know, I think there's never been a hand where there was anything. So I don't know. I think it's just people being paranoid because it's reasonable. Like,
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, for $1,000 buy-in, I mean, it makes a lot of sense why they'd be anything. Why you're going to have that. Even the most person that completely gets that's going to have some inkling in them. Like, you never know.
I mean, I'm the same. You know, like, everyone should be watching out. I'm just saying I can't do much to make them feel more comfortable. Like, I can't do much more than, I mean, I don't know, like the cards are recorded and like there's TV coverage, and I can't do much more than tell them like, hey, you know, like, that's what I do, and that this is the pieces I have, and that's it. Like, obviously you could not buy the pieces, but I don't know. I think as long as everyone, like, as long as there's no like clear rule for everyone, that we all don't buy pieces of each other or like swap or whatever, I think that's the best way to do it.
So I know we followed over the years where you maybe start taking bigger pieces of yourself. So now in some events like this, are you like, what's your strategy going into this? Are you I don't really know. You might be taking all the action.
Wait, you can't. I don't think you can see this. Wait, let me just. You can't see my all-in move, but all in.
All in. That's it. No piece selling, no anything. Just all in.
No, I will sell. I will sell some pieces. You got people on people reserved that already, or is there an auction, or are you going to do a lottery style draft to see who gets? Why don't you fades? You know what you should do? You should have some of the people who get the Prime Mine signed up for Prime Mine that first month can get into a free roll for potentially a small piece of your tournament buy-ins or something. I mean, probably already doing this. It's like a level 1 Doug Polk kind of thing. Shout out to my boy Doug Polk. But you can do something like that. I'll give away 1% on my 300K. You sign up for the app, and yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Dare I say?
Yeah. Like, we have a couple of things planned, so let's see.
That's such a good line. I feel like in my mind when I had it, I'm like, oh, that's genius. But I'm like, wait a second, this is what Doug's always doing there. So it's not that, but it works. It works really well.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, he's doing a good job, like his content and everything. So yeah.
What do you think about his analysis of the hands that you play sometimes?
Actually, I mean, I think his analysis in terms of like the free content out there are obviously great, but if he analyzes poker hands, I feel like he's always forgetting about payouts and also live factor. Obviously, I know he's always saying like, you know, like, I know he's just not that type, and that's fair. But like ICM is a big thing, and I think that has not that much to do with like live reads or whatever. It's just like a mathematical like change of the game. So actually ranges change very dramatically if you put ICM, like for example on the bubble or 2 off the bubble. And I've just seen a hand he commented that I played in Australia, and I think that is a big, like ICM is a big factor in that hand. So it's just I totally get what he's like, why he analyzes the hand the way he does. But I think if you look at it from a mathematical point of view and you put ICM into it and then adjust his ranges and his folding ranges based off what I think, like what my assumptions are, I'm pretty sure that it's a good play. And so that's just my take on it.
Okay, that makes sense. I know you're the king of ICM. You're the first person I learned anything of ICM about, and I played 4 times.
Yeah. So. I explained you like 4 podcasts ago or something.
Yeah, you're like ICM. I'm like, man, I've never played a tournament in my life, Fedor. And Steven, since then, I really haven't played. I played a couple of the PLO World Series events last year, and I'll be playing those again this year. And that's going to be the extent of my tournament play, I believe.
It's huge. I mean, in PLO, it's even crazier. Like ICM and PLO is very, 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 very hard because it changes your ranges so weirdly. I don't know enough about PLO, but just the fact that equities are so close together makes it very, very hard, especially with you only being able to raise pot.
Just, yeah, the most you can raise is the size of a pot, correct?
Yes.
Shout out to my
I learned some about the beautiful game of PLO. So.
Well, you learned. What have you learned?
Shout out to my guy Poppy. He's doing like great PLO content, which I'm watching. So.
Tottenham and Omaha is a dangerous game.
Yeah. Never get into it.
Who's that? What's that voice? Who's that?
That's when I talk too loud. What's her name? Like the Amazon thing?
Alexa?
Alexa, yes. Alexa, say hi to Joey. No, she's German. She doesn't get it.
Oh. I like Alexa. Shout out to Alexa. We might have a Fedor one day. We have a Fedor voice on there.
Maybe.
I don't listen, man. I thought you were going to run a country. Now I'm changing my mind. Now I think you're going to be the Elon Musk of something. I don't know. The Elon Musk of something.
I think right now what I want to focus on is just do my thing. Like, you know, like I want to just be really close to the people that use the stuff we produce or whatever we put out there, get a lot of feedback and try to improve what we do. And like that's the only thing I want to focus on is like create cool things, talk to people, get as much good criticism as you can, and just improve it. That's
what. Speaking of talking to people, I know you had a recent conversation with PokerStars. You were, I believe, you there were to discuss. Were you there to you saw them the rake was too low on tournaments, or like what was the meeting of the? What was the idea of the meeting with PokerStars?
The background was a charity tournament, which I think was a pretty cool thing. Like. I posted a picture of it on Instagram, and I did some. So it's basically simple story. It's like a German. Excuse me. Just 1 second. So it's a German live tournament actually. It's called CPTLA. I think they run it for some time now. It's like a huge live charity tournament. It's like I've never been there, but like I've seen it last year, and it looked really cool. And I couldn't make it this year. But so I've seen last year they started doing an online charity event. And I think they got together like 300 people, like I think all seemed like to be small stakes players. And they got together like 5K or something. And so they asked me, and was like, hey, you know, German community, like I know half of these people basically, like they know me in some capacity. And then like I know Felix Schneider's like X-Flex team PokerStars Pro. And so he asked me like, hey man, do you just want to host this together? And I was like, yeah, sure. So, and then they told me for this year, last year they tried as well, that PokerStars doesn't let them into the lobby, like the tournament. And so the main issue with this is that it complicates the sign up process a lot, because people have to wire or PayPal something, the money somewhere, and then you can't connect the PokerStars name with the email, and it's like, you know, if it's 500 people, like money, like it's going left and right, and then they try to send you PokerStars name, they have to send it back, and it's like literally it's like 500 emails in like a day, and then probably 2,500 because you have to send emails back and forth. And so also then like a lot of people couldn't participate because the minimum buy-in of a tournament is like 20,000 play money chips, and then people have to buy play money chips for like $3 or whatever, and it's like, you know, everything is like, this is so confusing and so complicated. So they talked to PokerStars, and they were like, this is actually like a serious thing. It's like, you know, like basically all the German pros played it, like Jamie Staples played it, like I think Nanonoko wanted to play, like a lot of pros were involved. So it's not like some kind of random thing. And the charity behind it is, I think, got founded in 2008, and I think they collected over 200,000 euros for charities. And it's like they do it on the side, and they like actually pay for the charity, so 100% of the donations go to charities. So it's like, for me, you know, I just love this, because it's, with the little resources they have, they built something pretty cool, I think. So yeah, I supported it, and that's the story. And so I was like, you know, why can't you support it? And I understand their reasons. I don't agree with their stance. Like I don't think, they said mainly because if they put it out, they basically advertise it to all the customers they have, which is, I think, a reasonable argument. I think why it's different is the participation of the PokerStars pros. So that they were worried that, you know, like they didn't have like a clear line, like a clear stance on like how they treat this. So they wanted to have a clear stance before they treat this case. So I totally understand their point of view, and that's how we got to talk. And I talked to the executives, and they took this matter quite serious, and I like the way they handled the situation. I understand that for that type of situation, they didn't want to, you know, like make a call right now, and they decided to not do it, and I think that's fine. And yeah, that's I'm gonna meet them in Monte Carlo and probably talk about a couple of different topics, and that's the whole background story. And so there's no bad blood or anything. It's just like I just thought, you know, like it would be nice to make this possible. That was my point of view, and I understand as a big company why it's tough sometimes if you don't have like clear like guidelines on how to handle topics.
Might be a thing where you can go to another poker site, Party Poker. They're trying to do some things where for the players out there, it could be a potential opportunity. I'm sure Party Poker might be listening out there watching right now. Shout out to Party Poker. Like they're doing some good things, doing some cool things and new things.
That's the thing, right? You just put a couple of people together that like, again, like they know what they're doing and they want to progress, and you have Party Poker, right? Like it's literally like the ideas are so simple. Like it's just, how can we provide and how can we get feedback? This is the first poker site that approaches all the high rollers and is like, hey guys, what do you want?
Party Poker did that.
Yeah. So it happens with other sites in some capacity, but not in that way. You know, they like actually invaded our Skype channel. They were like, guys, you know, I'm not in here, but like I have a question, like this is the idea we have, and like let's talk about this. And like every high roller player, like half of them feedbacked. And they were like, this is what we good, and this is what we good. And they actually came to like a really good conclusion. And they were like, okay, let's do this. And so I think poker sites don't take it serious enough how valuable, like these are literally the 50 experts in every game and every stake, you know, like why don't you talk more to them? Because they give it to you for free because they want the economy to be better as well. So I think there's a lot to be done in basically every company I've been in. Is like, even, you know, in really good companies, there's always, if you bring in someone that thinks on his own, that doesn't need someone to tell him what to do, and is not waiting orders, and is ready to take responsibility, you always make it better in a way. And these contracts are really, like, I really enjoy that. And the more you have the capability to change something for the better, the more I like it.
I have to text my mother. She said she wants to pick me up for dinner at a certain time. I have to tell her it's got to be a little bit later. Shout out to my mom out there. I know she doesn't watch the podcast ever because she doesn't support the podcast. And yeah, shout out to my mom. So I guess from now you're more of a, you know, I've been learning more about the business world. I've been learning more about that. What do you think about, you know, from this perspective about PokerStars and the way they decide to handle things in terms of with the more rake movement that they've been doing, and sort of now they're going to be eliminating a lot of rake back for a lot of the hardcore grinders out there. And what do you think about overall shifting that business model to that side of things?
I think PokerStars makes a lot of very smart business decisions. And I think they didn't lose this. I think the perspective from the outside, and this is my guessing. It's not, you know, confirmed information. It's more like how I imagine it to be. So if you look at the poker economy and you look at online poker, let's be frankly, it's gonna die. Like, if I look at no limit hold'em online poker, it's gonna diminish because the cost of ruining a game is getting lower and lower. It's like the cost of installing some PO bot that runs through every game is like, you know, basically, I mean, that's like a weird way to say it, but I believe that the game is getting more and more solved, and it's getting more and more easy to have access to it. That's my perspective of it. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I perceive it. So I think, okay, if you look at it from this perspective and you think, and they probably have a lot of statistics on this, like I would hope so. So you can, from a viewer perspective, you can see this too, because like high stakes games online are dying. So if you look at it from this perspective, then I feel like online poker, no limit hold'em high stakes or no limit hold'em is shrinking. So if I look at it from that perspective, from a business point of view, I think it makes total sense to change your main focus of your business to something else. And so what I would do is think about what other things do they have in common that we can provide on our platform that I want to convert people to. And so let's think through, what do you have, right? You can do PLO, but then like, okay, PLO is probably going to be the same as Hold'em, like just later. So you can maybe postpone it, but you will not really like capture a new market. So now, from what I've seen within PokerStars, you can look at what kind of, I think that's how you can always see how, like, where does a company want you to go, right? Like, what do they do? So they do spin and goes, they do KO tournaments, they do rewards that are play a lot of different games and gamble kind of rewards. Then they build up their gambling, like the blackjack and roulette, and they implemented the whole gambling thing in their page. So now I try to think of what's the common thing of all these things is they want people to gamble. They want people to gamble more. Like everything is like, you know, guys, like collect this, gamble more, like play spin and goes because like you can win $1 million. Like, you know, it's not more of this like be skilled, be the best, win $1 million. It's more like hit the lucky jackpot, where you're sensitive, like you're kind of making people more sensitive for a jackpot in terms of playing, I don't know, something else, playing roulette, hit the jackpot, you know, like hit the number, or like play a slot and hit the jackpot, something like that. So I feel like they're trying to capture and convert the people that are that have like that would gamble, and they try to get them into that direction. And so I think that's a really smart way from a business perspective to go from a market that might be, you know, not that fruitful in the future to a market that is probably going to be fruitful for a very long time. And so I feel like they're just changing their business model more towards like a maybe betting in the future, like Stars Bets, or how it's called. Also, they build up that, and I feel like they're like trying to figure out a lot of things in the gambling area, and I think that's a very, very smart way to set up their business for the future.
Now, you spoke about bots, and I've been talking to a PLO bot maker who I think I'm going to have on the podcast. And
Okay.
this should be an interesting podcast, by the way. So he's been talking about a lot of no limit bots out there, and the PLO botting situation that he knows about. And I don't know, this could be an interesting podcast if I decide to have him on. So it's it's interesting to hear more about it from that side of the world.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the botting situation out there, you mentioned these PO bots and stuff like that. You know, how what type of things do you know about, or have you heard about may or may not exist out there?
Actually, I know about very, very little, because I think the time when it started to be more of an issue, I never firsthand heard of anything. I think like I've read, but like you know way more about this than me, like the 2+2 feds. I know on some other sites people did some stuff. Like I've heard of some, wasn't this PLO like on Stars?
There was something going on with the Eastern European Russian accounts that, whether it was like a collusion ring or whether it was an actual bot thing, undecided, but those accounts all did get, they got taken down.
Yeah. So wait, let me put on the light again. Yeah.
Appreciate everybody tuning in live. We got a lot of people out there watching right now. Shout out to everybody out there, and hope you guys are enjoying. Fedor Holz back on the podcast. Not Crown Up Guy. Are we not calling you Crown Up Guy anymore? Are we done with? We showered Crown Up Guy. It's just Fedor Holz now. Mr. Big Time, the young prince.
I mean, both is good. I still really like Crown Up Guy. That was a good time, man. Oh, the online time, that was, I think, in terms of poker, I think that was my best time. Most unknown time as well, like the time before W Coop. Oh my god, that was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like the excitement, every Sunday when you had you were chasing and trade, like the deep runs you had, like all that, you were grinding so much, and that was pretty amazing.
Oh, and so now your grind has just changed differently, and now it's this. But so I guess when you have poker, obviously you can chase something, you chase that first place or that big score. Whereas kind of what you're doing now, like, what do you feel like is the measurement stick, is that sort of thing? Because obviously you get the feedback from people and they tell you that they got this benefit or they didn't get this benefit or whatever. They give you the feedback, but it's not quite like poker where you have this sort of first place and you have this defined success point that you try to get to.
Do you think so? Because to me, actually,
I think so. I think it's much, just from doing content and then even doing a business, it's much different than poker is, where it's like, for poker PLO, it's always like, I want to get to the high stakes. That's like,
I think it's because you set your business up differently. I think that's the difference. Because I think the same way you can have that business, where things like go smooth and you make your money every month or whatever, you can be like a no limit hold'em grinder that makes it, has 3K every month. Like they have the same little excitement, right? Like there's no excitement. They just grind. They like maybe get better, maybe they don't. Like they make their money or they don't. And I want to set up my business like I set up my poker career. It's like, go big or go home, and then go big for a very long time and like keep doing it. Because the one thing that I learned in poker, looking back at it, is the only thing that made me successful is that I didn't quit. That's literally the only difference. I would have been successful in probably almost all things I started in my life. Like I was always, the things I kept doing, I was always at least like, good. Like I played chess a lot.
Big chess player at Fedor Holz.
No, but like when I was 10 or 11, I would say I was quite good at chess and didn't follow through. And then like a lot of other sports like soccer, I was good at some point as well. And could have followed through with that. Like trampoline I did, and I wasn't bad at that. And like there's like a lot of fun things I did over the course of the years, and I never followed through with it. And I was like, it's so fun to think back at all these things you tried, you know, like whether the studies I started or in school, things that interested me, or like games I played, or it was always this point where it's like, you know, I don't really know why I'm doing this. Like, why am I, like, where am I going? And like, it was literally you do something for 9 months and you're like, why am I even doing this? And then if you can't answer that question, you're like, there's literally zero chance you can continue. If you can't answer the question, why am I doing this? Then they're like, you're just done. So the more I asked myself that question, like I just didn't have any passion for anything, because nothing was really, like, there was never an answer. So I figured, okay, the first thing, like when I was 18 or 19, we talked about this on the pod sometimes before, like, but it's interesting looking at it from like more distance now, is I only had to answer that question. That's why I had to do like a world trip, is and like get out of it and change everything and just think about this, because I just needed a purpose. Like I just needed to be able to answer that question of what do I actually want to do. And so poker was the first time I was actually like, I could actually answer that question. And it was like, I want to get freedom. I want to have freedom for myself for the rest of my life, and freedom for my family, and freedom for the people I care about. And so now I have this, and now, you know, you asked me that question about what I want to do now, and I just want to change the way people perceive themselves, because it gives me like the most joy, like seeing these people thrive and seeing them, like, you know, growing, and seeing them performing, and seeing them creating things, and that's just what excites me, and that's what my purpose is right now. So that's why I'm building Pride.
So what would be your kind of advice out there to somebody who doesn't have that same self-confidence in themselves, doesn't believe that they can do a lot of things, and they believe that they see people maybe accomplishing something out there, or they see yourself and they say, man, I can never do anything close to something like that, and their mindset just is that way from a function of maybe growing up and the people around them and their family? What would kind of be a piece of advice you might suggest for those people?
That's a very good question. I think it's, again, like, I think one thing is very hard. It's very hard to give someone like a guide to follow. So I think it's more certain things that I feel like that I did that helped me get there for myself. Like I can't tell you, you know, this is what you should do. I feel like it's more like, you know, just try this for yourself. Like what I tried is change of settings, free up time. I think these two things are extremely helpful. Change of settings and free up time. I think that's super important. Like a lot of people, when they talk negative about something, they tell me how, you know, let's say, oh, like, I'm not so happy with what I'm doing. You hear this all the time. Like half of the people say this all the time. And then they're like, and I asked them, okay, what have you done? What have you tried? And it's like, okay, like, I don't know, like I did this session, I did this meditation, I tried meditation, that didn't work, I tried yoga. And so I asked them, like, okay, how much time did you spend on it? And so they're like, if I think about this like that, maybe like, you know, 3 hours, 5 hours a week or something. And I'm like, okay, so what's the most important thing to you? Like, how can you, like, how does it fit together that you tell me you're really not that happy with your situation, and then on the other hand, you know, you spent like 3% of your time or 5% of your time changing it. Like that doesn't fit together, you know? So I think people should just take more care of themselves. Like if you don't feel well, it should be the first thing to figure out why you don't feel well, and then change it. Because like being stuck in it for like 9 months and then realizing when it's like rock bottom and you feel like so shit that that's the only way you can break out of it, like I feel like that's where a lot of people end up. And I know that this is really tough. Like, you know, I was not born that person to get out of it, and it's not like I get out of these situations every time, but I got a lot better. And that's the cool part about it. A lot of these things, it's a lot about relativity, right? Like you don't have to be like amazing at it, you just have to be better than others. So I think that's why I really like this whole process of reflecting and working on yourself, because you really can see progress. Like I think if you look through the 5 podcasts we had, I feel like you will see big changes in me as a person.
Yeah, I would agree with that very much so. I would definitely agree with that. A lot of change, a lot of different angles, a lot of different mindsets and points of your life, which is, I think pretty exciting for people to see out there, especially as they follow along with the journey of things right now. And sort of see where you go next.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Like on the one side, I'm dreaming a lot, and I like have huge visions, and there's like so many things that I want to explore. But on the other side, I also, the one thing I really like as my mantra every day now is like, do things, literally. Like, don't talk, just do. Because I think that was my biggest weakness, is like I had a lot of very good and creative ideas, and I just never executed. And I think that was my kind of thing that I had to figure out, right? And I'm not that great at executing yet, but just making that first step, it's so rewarding. Like being at this point of where we are right now, it's not great execution, right? Like you could have done it faster, you could have done it better, you could have, done everything better we did, but it was some kind of execution. If you put it in relativity to like what other people do and where other people are, that's amazing. Like I'm very happy with our progress, and I'm like super confident that we're gonna like now it's a small project, next one is gonna be bigger, and then at some point we do a really big one. So I mean the goal is to have like hundreds of people working with us and like thousands of square meters and like tens of different cities. So give us like 4 or 5 years and we'll be there.
Jonah says, my wizard assistant, shout to Jonah. I'm sure I know you know Jonah.
Oh yeah, man. Shout out to Jonah. Good guy.
Quite an adventurous story from no, whatever. When people ask what he does nowadays, what is his go-to answer? Yeah, when you're in Miami, when you're at Ultra Music Festival, when you're at the table with a shirtless a football player that you think's a quarterback, and what's the difference, right? Running back, quarterback, Ezekiel Elliott. He's how would you journey?
Okay.
With no difference.
So that answer, like in that I'm just the poker player. But now when I'm in Vienna, it's a pretty difficult question, and it's funny that he asked this because in Central Europe, you don't say you're a poker player. I mean, it's just really not. It just doesn't come across that well. People, they don't necessarily have the most open-minded mindsets. They don't. It takes too long time to explain them how it actually works, and that you. And in my opinion, it takes the conversation to a level that is just not that convenient. Because it takes so much explanation to get them to the same or like a similar level of understanding. So, but then again, on the other side, it just takes too long to explain them what we do with Primed. And there's no real word to explain them. I would just like to say I work with Primed. Like maybe, in 2 years or something, I can say that. But for now, I'm just going to be like, yeah, startup, investing in some startups, something like that.
That's it, huh? You could just be like, well, I play poker. Yeah, I play poker tournaments. I guess there's no way to say it. Say. I don't know. You could say.
No, you can't say it. Believe me. Like like Americans have no idea how the reaction is in Germany. It's really crazy. Like the American reaction is 10 times more positive than the German one. It's really literally the first response is always like, so how much did you lose, basically? So,
I mean, you could always just point them to google.com and tell them to type in the name, show them pull up the Hendon mob.
Yeah. So that's really doesn't sound douchey at all.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's no way to say it without sounding that type of way, without sounding like, you're, like that kind of thing. So actually I was on a plane when I was going to Miami. I was on a plane next to this older guy, and we were talking, and somehow poker came up. He said he watches some poker on television. I said, "Oh, you watch poker?" I said, "Oh, who's your favorite poker player?" He's like, "You know what I like? like that one guy. What's his name? Fedor Holz. That's one of my favorite players. I go, Fedor Holz, your favorite player? He's like, yeah, man, I like watching him on TV. I was like, interesting.
Yes.
Okay. I was like, I know Fedor. Okay. So I found interesting that this guy, you know, not a very big poker player guy, he's now doesn't like play poker. He said his brother plays some poker and watched the podcast. Shout out to his brother. And but his favorite players, the young prince, Fedor Holz, just from those CBS Sports and like the and those like Alpha 8 thing, and I guess the CBS Sports that they show that you've been on. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Awesome. But I mean, it's so fun. Like, yeah. Although I don't want to be famous, like that is literally, I just found that out in Asia, like crazy. I can't imagine how famous people live.
What do you mean?
Like,
what happened in Asia?
I mean, just they are way more into taking pictures. So around casinos, it's like already for me, it's kind of annoying too. Like, especially after you have a final table or something, it gets kind of annoying sometimes. It starts to just take a lot of your time. That's like the main thing, you know, like if there are like 30, 40 people or something that want to have a picture, it might take 20, 30 minutes. So that's kind of annoying sometimes. But like in the beginning, you know, it's like there's a certain line where it's fun and it's like engaging to talk to them and say, I mean, I'm, you know, like not even famous at all. So I don't want to know how it is if you're like, you know, like a singer in Asia or something. Like that must be, you might, you know, you can't move anymore. So I'm actually going to switch a little more to staying more undercover and less like, and more, you know, like just market the brand and less me as a person, because I really like, I love respect and I really like to be respected by people that, you know, that understand the capacity of how much time you put into something, but the fame is not for me.
Do you feel like that sort of status that you might have is potentially going to be something that helps you out in terms of expanding the business or meeting people in the future? You know, that seems like it'd be a positive for that too.
I think that's the main thing where I'm like, you know, between these two things is like, do I want to build my brand to like, you know, access more of these cool situations, or because I don't know, I don't need to be at the center of attention like media and that's not, took me like, you know, in the beginning you try it out and like you do some social media and stuff, and I was like, the value I get out of it is not necessarily, that's not my cup of tea, but like the people you meet, that's actually pretty cool, and like the people you can connect to and the people you can reach out to. So I'm kind of on the fence. Like I'm not sure yet. Maybe, you know, maybe I just try to do it in terms of like trying to profit for our business and like expand it more. But let's see how that goes.
Well, so what happened in Asia? You went to the casino. People are outside taking a lot of photos, or what's going on, man?
That's the only place. Like Asia and around Vegas in the casinos, or like Asia and casinos and Vegas and casinos where people want to take a lot of pictures, and that's very nice in Austria. People, they're so, you know, conservative, shy that they never approach me. Like it's a couple of times where like hear them say my name or something, or like, and they don't, and that's funny. Like when they look at me and I can see they recognize me and they don't say anything, like. Asians, they just go straight for it.
They just go for it. They go right in there, a little aggro.
I mean, it's really fun. Like for them, culturally, it just seems to be a completely different thing.
What's happening in the background there? You got Alexa moving around. What's happening there?
Oh, like my roomie and his girlfriend. I think they're over there.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I didn't know moving around, but I didn't know what's
Shout out to my roommate and his girlfriend.
Shout out, is a roommate a poker player too?
Yeah, pretty good one.
What's his poker player's name? Is it a secret?
No, it's not a secret. He plays high stakes, sit and goes online. Like I don't think he's that known, but he's pretty good and it's an amazing guy. It's like so good to live with him. Like it's literally, yeah, super cool guy. His name is Tupic, but I don't think people know him that.
Do you?
Unless you play high stakes.
Does he play the piano, or do you play the? Are you a new piano player? Have you recently picked that up?
I met someone really cool in San Francisco. or like two actually really cool people. One of them is a girl. That's also one thing. I want to get into the blogging game really big time. Like I want to create content with Primed. Because, you know, on the one side, the products we produce, or like the products we market and like we want to sell, they show what we do, but I also want to show from a content side, like what excites me and us, you know, as a company, what excites us. So I want to get a blog going on where we like literally, I want to hunt the content that just amazes me, like people, especially. So this story in San Francisco, I met this girl, Karen. Shout out to Karen.
Shout out to Karen.
She's, I would say mid-30s, maybe. She quit her. She quit. We've been introduced by a mutual friend that is really, really amazing, really cool guy as well. So basically, I think she worked, like, I don't know about her business background that much. I think she worked in a trading company or something comparable. Seemed to be pretty successful and pretty smart girl in terms of like her studies as well. And so she quit a couple years ago, and she learned a lot of things. And like one thing, like I think she said she can play maybe 15 or 20 different instruments. She can like use lots of different weapons. She can do like, no, I mean like shoot. She's very good. She's apparently a pretty good shooter. Like disc shooting. She can do different martial arts as well, I think. She just, you know, started learning things. She did like, and it's really cool when she talks about it, you know. It was just this thing of like, I want to just try out different things. And it's just really fun. Like you talk to these people and you know, you realize like, wow, this is wow. Like, how did you learn all these things in like a year time? And I was talking to her like, how did you do it? How did you approach it? And she literally just went by like, what excites me today and what I'm interested in, you know, kind of like a children's thing. You read something in a book. She literally read in a book about falconeering, and she learned to falconeer. So now she can, you know, pull out her arm and
what was that? What was that? The fuganou?
Now, how do you say this? Falconeering? Or I think that's how you call it, right? With like a falcon on your arm.
Oh, I don't know what that means.
A falcon, like a bird.
A tattoo.
Right?
A pigeon.
No.
Right.
Let me Google this. I think you call it falconeering. Yeah, falconeering.
Okay, a falcon.
A falcon isn't like a bird.
A bird. Right? Okay. A bird. I've been hearing the word bird a lot lately, so I'm familiar with the word bird.
Yeah. So, I mean, a bird. Yeah. Like, I think they've been used to hunt.
Oh, she lets the falcons fly in her arm.
Yes, falconeer.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. I don't know many people that do that. They put the okay. It makes sense.
I mean, there are probably not that many people that do it, but like that's a cool thing, you know. She read about that pitch. Okay. Yeah. So basically,
she literally beast everything. Basically.
I mean, it seems like so. That was just, you know, like she's not a perfect human being. She's not like, she has her issues and she starts with certain things, but this one part of her, you know, like that excited me and that I thought was really, really cool. And I thought, you know, I can learn a lot from this and other people could learn a lot from this. So I really love this. And we're still in touch and talk from time to time. And I feel like you meet these people like all the time. And we don't really, like, for example, she's not successful with this. She doesn't make money with this.
Bang, bang.
She's not, no, I mean, like there's no drive to like, you know, monetize this. It's just like an inner thing.
Money from something before?
I don't think, I think she's fine, but I don't think it's like, I just really like the idea of she goes with the flow. She thinks there's a certain moment she likes to do something and she goes for it. And I think that was really inspiring to me. So, yeah.
So you guys spent time, you guys had a moment together, but then, you know, how do you deal with that when you have that moment with someone, you connect with somebody, and then you go back to your home country? I mean, that's it?
Like, it's just, you know, like it's just broadening my horizon on how I can approach things.
So what was
Like
what was like the biggest takeaways that you took away from spending time with her?
From her, it was definitely to just go for the things I want to learn, and like just, you know, go hardcore for it. Like when you feel like it, you know, when you feel like you want to learn, like this is really exciting, you know, like read up on it and go for it. Like figure out where you can learn it and do it. You know, if you want to go canoe, like it's probably like 2 hours from your place. Drive there and go do it. You know, like that's the thing I took away from it. Is like, if I feel today like, wow, like I've just seen someone doing paragliding, and literally I thought paragliding is cool for like ever. And I've had this opportunity like 5 times, and like really close 2 times, where it was literally like a 30-minute drive or something. And I never did it. And I was like, what, you know, I think it's cool. I want to do it. And I was like, you know, I don't. So I was like, okay, let's do it. So from now on, you know, if I get the next opportunity, I'm going to do it. So that's what I took away from it, is like, if you feel like doing something, the most value you get out of it is, you know, like do it in a moment where you really feel like it.
So what do you say to people out there that may be thinking about, well, you know, I'm still trying to make it at what I'm doing, and to me, to make it at what I'm doing requires I put that complete focus on what I'm doing. And sometimes if I start letting these other things into my life that I really want to do, then I might not ever have that type of success I'd like to have at this main thing, whether that's poker or whether that's something in their career.
Can you repeat that?
Okay, so let's, you know, obviously people out there, a lot of people like yourself, you wanted to become, you know, make a lot of money at poker, become a top poker player, become one of the best in the world. So if you just decided, well, I'm going to take time away from doing that just to do anything that I want to do, well, that probably would have interfered with your ability to succeed at what your maybe ultimate goal or passion or dream was. I think a lot of people out there are also in that same instance where they have this thing that they're working towards. And if they start doing everything they find fun, well, they're going to have fun, but they might not accomplish that ultimate deep desire they have inside of them.
But that is the question, right? Like, would you think you want to do it if this is your ultimate deep desire, right? Like, I think there are some logical things that might not, you know, make sense then. Like, either, like, for example, if like your ultimate deep desire is that you want to play poker and do nothing else, then maybe that, you know, urge to do something else doesn't even come up. If it comes up all the time and you feel like, you know, today I want to try out this and I want to learn this and I want to see this, then maybe poker wasn't even the thing, you know, you really wanted to do in the first place.
I mean, I think, so I think myself, though, I mean, I definitely wanted to play poker, but at the same time, there were a lot of other things I wanted to do that I would have considered very fun, just in terms of spending time with friends, you know, obviously engaging in some high level competitive chess matches and around all the world. But for myself, I was like, you know what? If I just start doing that, well, then that's going to take this time away from that. And it's not like I didn't want to do it any more than the other. It's just I felt like I sort of needed to sacrifice those moments to focus on poker.
Yeah, I think I'm not 100% certain yet on this approach, like what, you know, which one I prefer. Like, I mean, I know which one I prefer for myself. Just in terms of giving someone advice, I just can't tell you. I think, though, for me personally, I always got more value out of not sacrificing. This whole concept of telling someone, do something for a year, sacrifices, and then you're going to be in an awesome spot. Like, to me, that's bullshit. That's utter bullshit to me. Like, I've seen so many people, like, so many jobs. It's like, you know, you just work hard for like 2-3 years, you work hard for 20 years, and then, you know, you have an amazing life. You know, you just hate.
What I mean, I think sacrifice is very important for many people out there if they want to have success. I mean, in terms of a job, well, I think that's a different story, and I don't know how to think about that. If you go to an office and you got to sacrifice these certain things for 20 years, but I think there's definitely short-term sacrifices that we all do. I mean, if we have high aspirations and then if we have this high dream for ourselves, I feel like we have to sacrifice certain things out of our life for some period of time. Otherwise, I mean, sure, there's outliers that are going to be able to hit this point that they want to hit, but I mean, that's not the majority of people.
But the thing is, I think you think too small. Like, I think now you're. No, I mean, sorry. Like, I think you're limiting it to poker right now. Like, you're saying, okay, you want to be successful in poker. I feel like that's a sub goal to your real goal. Like, I don't think your goal is to be successful in poker. Whatever your real goal is, I think being successful in poker is a sub goal.
Maybe now, but certainly wasn't years ago. I think that's where a lot of other poker players are at right now, where their main goal is to make it at poker.
Yeah, but
that might be a sub goal, but they don't even really know what their goal past that once they hit that point. They don't have any idea what that is. Right now, they just see it as, I need to make it at poker, and then I'll think about something else.
I totally get that, but that I think that's the issue, is if you don't see past that goal, then you will end up in these like circles where you like stick to poker for 10 years. Because if you never try to look past that goal, then you will be stuck in that goal. You know, you will be stuck in that, like, okay, I got to be successful in poker. Because maybe there's like a lot of other things. Because if you realize that being successful in poker is never the real goal, then it makes a ton of sense to start look for the real goal, like right now. And I don't think being successful at poker can actually be the real goal. I think there has to be something more, less specific to be underlying, or like more, you know, general. Like, I think there's one combining goal of, you know, humanity or something, like, which might be, you know, you can call it, I don't know, happiness or progress or whatever. Like, there's one basically drive that we all have, and I mean, at least from my perspective, that we all share. And then like the next goal is your personal happiness, and then the next goal, sub goal, is be successful in poker. So and then there are several sub goals for this. That's how I perceive it. And I think I was in exactly the same situation of like thinking being successful in poker is my goal. But that's what I'm saying when I talk about, you know, do more of the things that you feel like doing in the moment. Because it's this kind of communication between you, your mind, and you, on your subconscious and you, that tells you like, is helping you to like figure out your goal better. Because it's not, you know, you don't feel like doing something just randomly. You feel like doing it because there's a reason for it. So I feel like if you go for the things that really make you happy, or you really want to do, you develop more into that person that can actually like see beyond this. Right? Like you can see these goals past it, and you can be like, okay, like maybe there are things I want to do more than that, and I want to do past and beyond that, and there's actually something that is underlying that. And then in like a real life example, all the time I did this in my poker career, it gave me a lot of energy for my poker. Like when I took these moments off and I spent time on that, like it just freed up something, and it freed up like space in my mind, and I could focus on poker like way better than I could focus before. And I realized again, okay, like when I came back to poker, I really wanted to do poker, because otherwise I would have kept doing that thing. So that was like the really cool part about it, is because then you realize, okay, like, you know, you actually want to do this, and you actually want to spend your time with this.
I mean, I think if people are wondering why they're not winning at poker, Fedor just told you why you're probably not winning at poker, because I think a lot of people probably have that approach to it, and then they wonder why they're not winning. And I think that's why, is because they are sort of focused on a lot of different things out there, and they never really hone their focus. I mean, obviously poker's hard, and not a lot of people win at poker. But I think that I mean, you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe that can work. Maybe that can get someone to be successful at poker, but I don't know many people who've taken that route with that. I mean, I wouldn't say that's the route really you took with it for the most part. You did, but I think that your route, obviously you're a complete outlier in terms of with your results and your success, and, you know, even the path that you took. But I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like that's a big thing that gets a lot of poker players into trouble, and they sit there wondering, why can I not get past this point, and why can I keep consistently winning?
But now I think you're talking about people being delusional. Like they have a certain set of expectations, and then they match it with their reality, and it's like, it just doesn't fit at all. Like, you know, people have this expectation of like, you know, all these people that talk to me, and they're like, you know, like I'm working hard, and like I don't have results, and what's going on. And I think this approach is totally fine you change your perspective, because then you also have to adapt your perspective to like not be focused on poker, but be focused on your life, right? Like you be focused on how can I feel good, and not like how can I be successful at poker. So if you focus on that, and then your sentence is like, yeah, I've been working so hard, and I ask them like, what have you been doing? They're like, oh yeah, you know, I play like Wednesday and Sunday, and I do theory sometimes with these guys, and like then I even go play live sometimes, and I like, so I'm like, okay, so what else do you do? It's like, yeah, that's it. So I'm like, okay, that's a totally fine decision. Like I think everything from playing no poker or doing something completely different to playing a ton of poker could be a right decision, right? Like I don't think there's any like specifically right decision. I just think the decision of saying, okay, this is what my goal and this is what I do, that doesn't make sense to me. So I think it's totally fine for someone to play like 20 hours of poker and do 5 hours of this and 5 hours of this and be distracted in terms of in terms of like, you don't have to be the best poker player. You just have to like honor your goal of, being happy or like striving or progressing. I think that's the only thing that matters, is like honor yourself in terms of that.
I mean, I definitely agree with that from a perfect world theoretical standpoint, but just from working with a lot of poker players now over this past 10 months, man, believe me, you say these things, but to actually have this person then believe that and then have an idea how to implement that and completely shift their mind and maybe get out of that delusional standpoint and maybe figure out what those deep down desires are that extend past poker. I mean, that's very challenging for a lot of people out there. So I wish
that's
it was, and that's what Primed is going to solve right there, isn't it, Fedor?
Hell yeah. Yeah.
And that's what Primed is going to solve. I mean, we've set that up. Is that a script or something like that? We brought it. I mean, listen, and just from, I mean, I've seen it pretty badly. I wasn't really communicating with a lot of, I guess, these, maybe mid-stakes, smaller stakes guys in the past couple of years. So most of my friends also play high stakes PLO. Those are just guys I talk to the most. But then talking to some of these guys and actually working with them at poker and doing some specific PLO coaching, and then just with the GTO club stuff. I mean, yeah, it sounds easy in theory, like do this, do that, think about it this way, think about it that way. But it's very, very, very challenging for people to actually take to that point once they start off with that mindset.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, nobody said it's easy, like just because I have I don't even know how much better my perception is. It's just it's a lot of circumstances, a lot of luck involved, like being in the right moment, meeting the right people. Like there's so much, like so many uncertainties. It just feels like the only judgment for me personally is how I feel. Like that's the only way I can tell, like, what's like, there's information and then I can tell how I feel about that information based on my experience. So, like the way my life right now, how it is, I feel amazing. So I feel amazing for the last 6-7 months. So that tells me I want to keep doing what I'm doing. And that doesn't mean, like what I'm doing is 50 different things. Like I play poker, I meet people, like I do crazy things, like I go to Ultra, like I spend time with certain people, and I also realize certain things of that are shit. Like I'm most likely never going back to Ultra again. Like but I changed my perspective on this experience. Is like, it was something I just want to see how it is. Like I think the music was amazing. I think the people, like it's not my kind of style to spend my time, but I take it for the experience it was, and I made that decision, and I think it's valuable to me because it it expands my horizon. So like again, like it was a good experience. And
so I know you had Miami. I know you had we texted about this a little bit. You had you had a takeaway from Miami that I can definitely understand where this takeaway came from.
What specific takeaway you mean?
About the status and the money aspect and people sort of chasing after these things.
Yeah, I think that's the core, if you want to dive a little deeper, is like the core of all these things we talked about before, is if you're priorities are set in a certain way, and they get shifted by how you grow up and how people around you, you know, behave. If everyone, you know, tells you this priority is awesome over like the last 20 years, then your mind is going to shift towards this as well. And so I just want to go back from this and tell them, like, you do you. You figure out your own priorities in the way you want to do it. Because that's been working for me, and that's been working for other people. It's like, once you can, you know, break out of this, that you know, solves a lot of issues, and like that gets you closer to this, you know, successful state. And I feel like a lot of the successful people I meet, they do this. Some of them don't, you know, and a lot of them don't take it too serious, but like the majority of them do. Like they do their own thing in their own way. And yeah, like the whole fame thing and successful in terms of like chasing money, I think that I struggled with this for sure. Like the last year in poker, that was the issue. Like I should have quit probably a year before. I mean, not now, definitely not should have quit the year before. But I was, from my mindset, I was ready. Like there were, you know, already like a couple of things I was more interested in than poker, but you kept going because everyone is like, money is holy. Like you chase money, you go keep chasing money. And then, you know, after like a year, you understand it feels that way, and it still takes so much more time and work and luck as well, like a lot of luck to get to that point where you can say, okay, like it's not that important. And maybe I wouldn't have been possible with, you know, maybe I wouldn't be capable to do it and break free without the success. You know, like who knows? Maybe it would have taken me another couple of years. I mean, I think I just got kind of lucky in certain situations to have the right experience to make good decisions for myself.
I want to give a shout out to a couple of people in the chat. We got GTO the Hose in the chat on Twitch. Shout out to GTO the Hose. I love that name. Matchills139 says, can you tell him to get more into detail with the whole Miami thing from someone living here?
Miami was a fun trip. So the basis was, why it was fun to me is because I was actually visiting a very good friend of mine. I lived together with him a couple years back, and he got married and he got a daughter, and she's 1 year now. So that was just amazing. So I met him, met her, and yeah, that was overdue. And I told him all the time that I want to come by. And so I was like, okay, now I got to do it before she turns 1. And so, yeah, so I visited him, and then it was a really funny coincidence that I met the CEO of Coca-Cola and his son, and they invited me to their place, and like it was really cool meeting with them and talked about a lot of fun topics. And then there was Ultra, which I got invited to, and so yeah, that was the weekend. And I mean, the music, I actually really enjoyed the music. That was like certain DJs were pretty cool. Although it's not my go-to music, but I enjoyed that. Just the whole, like, you know, the whole social setting is just not my thing.
I'm going to tell you, Fedor, if you would have came to 11 with us that one night, I said come to 11 with us instead of going to live, I guarantee your perception of Miami would be slightly different right now, because you would have had one of the most GTO nights in the history of fucking GTO.
I think the thing that would have changed the most is my perception of you.
I don't know what that means, but man, it was fun. It was a fun night. It was a good night. It was a fun night. It was a great night. It was a good night. It was fun.
Good.
You should. I mean, that I feel like that was a perception shifter. A couple of those nights at 11 there. Shout out to 11. Shout out to Sam. Shout out to Rich. Shout out to Jonah. Shout out to Vanessa. Shout out to everybody I met at 11. It's a great place, man. But basically, kind of what you're saying is that a lot of people in Miami, they chase this social setting in terms of the table, the bottle service, spending money, Instagram, those sort of things. And they think that that's what's going to make them happy once they reach that point where they can afford to go to the clubs and the tables and those type of things. But in reality, that might not be the case, but that's running abundant down there because that's sort of what a lot of Miami's about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's only limited to Miami. It's in a lot of places.
Sure.
It's really hard how how can you judge an experience if you've never made it? Like, how can you say this is I like this or I don't? If everyone is saying this is amazing, then I mean, I would think so too, right? Like if 50 people tell me this is amazing, then I'm more likely to believe it's amazing. So I think it's totally reasonable. It's just by everyone doing this, all the people that don't know about it now start chasing it more, because they, you know, the more you say it's amazing, and then they keep adapting. I mean, that's how our society apparently works, is like they keep adapting that opinion, and then they think like that without even experiencing it. So now, like, you know, hundreds of millions of people believe that this is the goal, when only like a couple of thousand people actually experience it. And like most of them will tell you, you know, it's like, it's, you know, it's fun, but it's actually, in reality, it's not as sick and amazing as everyone is picturing it.
I think it definitely depends on the people and the person. I mean, you kind of hear that from you know, a decent amount of people too, that have success or that get to that point with you know, whatever status and money, that it's not quite as whatever they built it up to be. But I think that definitely depends on a lot of people you have around you too, when you have those experiences as well. So if you have people that you really get along with and really feel like are close friends of yours, then I think that can change the experience so much, whether you're have no money or you have some money.
Any experience.
Right.
I think that's the cool part about these things. Like, there are a lot of these situations is once you put, you know, statistics into it and you actually try to figure out what is the best solution, it clears up so many biases. Like, there was, you know, like the same thing with like which people perform better in life. I just remember reading like one of the studies that is like 20 or 30 year long studies where they follow, like, they basically picked people, had like demographics, and had like thousands or 100,000 kids to choose from. They could pick like the kids they want to, and you follow them for like 20 or 30 years and see how they succeed in life. And so there's this psychologist that like picked these people, and it was, I think it was like mid like 1950, 1960 or 70s or something. And maybe I'm getting some things wrong right now. It's like a couple years back that I read this, or like one or 2 years back. And that was like super interesting, because it's basically, the result was it's variance. There's no, like, you can't, you know, like whether you're born rich or mid-class, or like the only group that slightly underperformed was like the really bottom class. But like actually the best performing class was, I think, lower middle class, upper lower class, something like that. And that was really fun to see where it's actually like just a line, you know, like you can't predict like whose money has, or like where you come from does not have that much to do with how successful you are. And so I think it's kind of similar to how much fun people have on parties. It's where I want to go. It's like, if you look at how much money you spend on like a party, I think, you know, the fun is probably the same in terms of how people perceive it. So I don't, you know, you can have house parties and spend nothing and have the best time of your life. Shout out to house parties.
Shout out to house parties. House parties, or get out of line. Real out of line, yeah, Fedor.
100%. I love house parties. And then, or, you know, like, you definitely don't have twice as much fun or 10 times as much fun if you go like crazy and spend shit ton of money. So I don't know. I think it's all not as crazy as people make it look.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're a kind of person that enjoys chess, you enjoy getting the fuck out of line, you enjoy dancing, then you might like it more. If you don't like those things, probably gonna, you know, I don't know, might not be the thing for you. So
yeah, I mean, I think it's I'm actually scared of this this idea of like growing up really rich. Like that is a really weird thought to me. Is like when there's no, you know, you can't, like in this aspect, you can't really like earn anything for yourself. Like I'm actually now I'm quite happy that I grew up pretty poor. Like you just feels like this duration of how you can enjoy these things you got yourself is just so much more than when you're born rich.
How would you know that then?
it's just from how people talk about it. Like, I mean, it's really like, even there's like one video of Dan Bilzerian as well, where he's talking about like a serious kind of video where he's talking about like how he, you know, feels about like things, and it's kind of sad. Like it's pretty damn sad, you know, when he says, you know, you start at a 9 out of 10, and they're like, you maybe get to like a 9.5 out of 10, and you hate your life the moment you have to go back to like a 6 out of 10. You know, like that. I mean, that idea to me, you just live in this bubble basically. So, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying. I can understand where you're coming from. I think a lot of people out there watching will obviously see it differently because, you know, I think people are from different countries. They're in third world countries where people make, you know, $10 a day or something like that. So I'd obviously, and once again, everyone's perspective is different on it, and everyone has their own thoughts, and doesn't make one thought better than the other thought or one approach better than the other approach. It's everyone's going to have their own unique view on things.
Yeah, so. I mean, for sure. It's just, I mean, that was just my perspective of like, I'm pretty happy to have seen both sides of the spectrum. Like I'm very happy about certain traits and like certain experiences that I made that weren't that fun and, you know, like a couple years back, but they're like very valuable right now.
What's one of them?
I mean, just, you know, like, but I mean, my mother was a single mom that had to quit her education because she got me. So, you know, like I have 2 little sisters as well. So I grew up cooking, you know, and taking responsibility and like taking care of my sisters, and, you know, with like 12, 13, and my mom was working a lot. And so it's like you live with very low expectations, and like, you know, in terms of presents and holidays and whatever, I had a great childhood. Like my mom is super caring and loving, but it's, you know, it's just different. It's just a very different experience.
Do you have a younger brother too?
No.
Okay.
3 little sisters.
3 little sisters. Oh my God, Fedor, puppy.
Yeah, I mean, that's also just, I think, siblings in general, super, super valuable. Like teaches you so much about, like early on, about certain things I don't want to miss.
I like that a lot, man. Shout out to my little brother, Tutu Andrew Cool, aka Big Dog, aka Yardstick, aka Stallion, member of the podcast. Always on some different shows out here too. So let's get some shout. I'm gonna give shout outs. I'm neglecting the chat. I apologize, chat. Who we got out there, man? I see Joshua Ruiz out there, Greg in House Brazil. We got a lot of people out there, man. Faye, do you want to give a shout out? You got someone special out there? Karen, who's out there?
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's definitely a couple of people. Like shout outs to all the guys that have been working with me like lately. Maybe some of them watching, like Lauren, Nicholas, Felix, Wolfgang, Clayman. Like, you know, if you're watching, Jerry, definitely. Like shout outs to you guys. Shout outs to Jonah. Like, good guy, and thanks for having me again on the pod.
Of course, Fedor. You know, we got to get our checkups on here, see how things are going. I feel like now, man. You know, I remember back in the first time we had the pod, I said, you know, we'll see what happens. Like this will be like a benchmark sort of thing. You get to go back, you get to see how you were back then, and you sort of, it's like really weird. Is that I kind of when I had you on at first, I was like, well, I like having these up and coming people on because maybe what happens, I sort of want to follow along with it. And I think you were one person I did that a lot with, and Kate Hall is another person I did that a lot with too, just to kind of follow the progression and see what happens. And like, I feel like these people have a lot of potential, so that's why I want to have them on. And I mean, I don't know, I made a very solid read with obviously the W Coop win. You know, I'm sure that definitely helps, but it's not like I was having a bunch of tournament players on at that time. But it was it's pretty crazy how the progression's been over these past couple of years for yourself, man.
I mean, that's also something I definitely don't note down enough things, you know, like I was like, actually, that's why I love that we had these podcasts, because, you know, you can tell like how did you perceive things at the time, because we also talk some controversial things and some like mindset things where you want to go with your life and how you approach certain things. So I like that because you can backtrack and see how you thought about certain things. And it's always fun how you, like, every time I'm in the pod, I feel like, you know, now I figured it out.
Wait, yeah.
No, I mean, I think this is actually also something, actually, I don't ever feel like this. And I think that's also, it's painful at times, but very helpful if you want to be successful. Don't ever think you figured it out. Like, always try to make it better, which can be extremely annoying for other people and for yourself, but it's super fun because you always experience something new.
Right. So where do you stand on the appreciating the progress and the point that you're at? So once you get to a point and you're having success, and instead of thinking like I figured a lot of it out, or I figured there's certain things out for right now, and having gratitude and appreciation for that in the moment, rather than always saying like, all right, you know, I can, like, I'm not happy with this. I want to get to a different point or get to a better place.
I think you just got to do both at the same time. Like, appreciate what you're at and make it better. I mean, it sounds like such an amazing concept, right? If you had a good point, like, get to an amazing point and then get to like an even better point. Like that to me sounds like the ultimate goal to me.
We got a great question in the chat from Golfa. I believe that's Ryan. He says, curious if Fedor has tried psychedelics.
What is he asking?
Curious if Fedor has tried psychedelics, AKA, has there been any potential extracurricular activities maybe happening in these past 7-8 months?
No. Like, actually, not. Like, I got more into it in terms of like information about it and being around people that do it, but in more like I really like the way. I didn't like the way what I knew about it and how people approached it like a couple years back, and what I've seen like over the years. But now I like the way it's like more okay, let's figure out, you know, what is this about? Like, again, like Ultra Miami, you know, like, figure out what is this, like, you know, see what it is and have like distance to it, understand how it works and what it does to you. And like, I like this approach because I like these new experiences. And even if it's shit, I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I know what it is. So it's on a list in some way because I feel like in a certain way it could help me understand how certain things work better in some capacity. So yeah, I'll read more about it, and then the more I know about it, I'll maybe try it out in a good setting. And I really like the way how responsible the people like that I have to do with like deal with it. So I think that's quite important to me.
So kind of.
And shout out. Yeah. What?
Give a shout out. Go ahead.
Yeah. Shout out to the chat. I mean, I've been reading all the time. It's like a lot of fun things going on there, and maybe we have some more questions that we can answer.
Yeah, we definitely get some more questions, but kind of what you meant by that is safe. I don't think people actually know what you mean by that, Fedor, because a lot of people out there consume drugs in a very unsafe way. They take too much. They mix drinking with it. Their friend Steve hands them a pill at 9 p.m., maybe hands them another pill at 11, and 1 a.m. they're asking Steve for another pill. Steve gives them another pill. It's probably not going to be GTO, guys. So I think a lot of people consume their drugs Steve. And right, fucking Steve, man. They mix these drugs in such a non-GTO way. And I, you know, obviously I've been there before. I've done that before. Shout out to myself. And you know, I don't know, but I'm retired from those days, of course. But I think that if you can find people who are a little bit more knowledgeable about what it is, what they're doing, they're researching the actual stuff that they get, and they're attempting to be more safe in terms of testing, in terms of mixing together, in terms of the environments and the care that they show for you as someone who is also participating in the act, then I think that is the more optimal way to approach it, rather than the fucking the random three whatever. I don't know. There's been some out of line, Fedor, out of line.
Yeah, I think it's just the three. To me, it's like preparation, so like information, you know, just read. There's like quite a lot of interesting things. Like, everyone that doesn't know, like takes it regularly and doesn't even know like what it is or like how it works or what it actually does. I think that's, in terms of how much it does with you, I think that's very careless. Then the second thing is the setting. Like, everyone that takes drugs and like, I don't know, certain, like with people you don't know and like settings you have no idea, to me is also just stupid or careless. And then the third thing is like the amount. Like, you know, if you just, I mean,
amount can get out of line sometimes, man. Your sense of yourself maybe goes out the window a little bit, and all of a sudden you're
YOLO.
You're sticking that finger in another random bag or so. I don't know, man. Should get out of line for sure, man. Let's take some questions from the chat, man. All right, face off land. Joe, ask if he has any poker goal left that keeps him going, like winning the WSOP main.
The WSOP main? No, that would be a very weird goal to have. Very frustrating one as well. I'm not sure if I will ever play the main again. I will not play it this summer unless there's some weird circumstance I'll be there. But I'll just go for the first high rollers. My goal for poker, like, win one more of these high rollers, like that would be amazing.
Could be tomorrow. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna have to wait very long for this, Poppy. I don't know if we're gonna have to wait very long.
No, I mean that's still so fucking exciting. Like that will never go away. I think, like these bigger stages when you play against really skilled opponents, like that's just so awesome.
Maybe if you win 6 more, maybe that 6th one doesn't feel as good. We could have said that before.
Yeah. So. Oh, and shout outs to my boy Michael and Pratt as well, and my whole crew, like the whole poker gang.
Michael and who?
Pratt, Patouche, PLP.
Oh, PLP. Oh man, no one loves poker more than PLP, man. Shout out to Pratt.
Yeah.
He's in the lab right now doing something up, guys. I think Doug just maybe they're, I don't know, they got some sort of tournament thing, free thing coming out soon, I believe. Pratt might be involved with something like that.
Yeah, he's in the lab right now for sure.
Yeah, Pratt's in the lab right now, grinding, getting after a shot to PLP. Man, ain't nobody love poker like Pratt, man. I'll tell you that right. I've never seen a guy that loves poker more than Pratt. That's for sure. Let me give a couple of shout outs. Hold on a second, man. Caster Troy 29. Sandbags, hola, cola, mosa, caramoracita, Butt Farm Poker in the chat. My boy Butt Farm, obrigada, linda, papi. I've been learning some Portuguese, Fedor. I've been learning some Portuguese, man. Osmond DeWood, Nil Stockholm. I saw CG out there. Dave Dempsey. What up, Dave Dempsey? What's happening, Poppy? Dylan Dog. Say my name, Poppy. You got to pay me $2,000. You want me to say your name anymore? Michael Moneymaker, allegedly Moneymaker. Who else we got, man? Who else we got? Brian O'Connor. What's up, Brian O'Connor from Fast and the Furious? Hassan Hawk. My boy Hassan's out there. 7 Nocturnity 7. What's up, Poppy? Say hi to me, Fedor, please. Well, fuck you, Diesel. I ain't saying shit to you then, man. Justin P. What's up, Justin? Ross Clark. Cesar Quinteles Coramosa. We got the Saurus out there. What's up, the Saurus, a.k.a. Mr. Final Table in the chat. Matthias. What's up? What up? What up? Ricky Martinez. UFC into Steep, man. We got a lot of people out there, man. A lot of people watching live. Appreciate it. I don't know when the next podcast is going to be, but I think it'll be with Dan Coleman. That's probably going to be the next podcast. He said he's going to Monte Carlo too as well. So I don't know if that might be in a week or two. I'm not quite sure. I got to check with Dan. And I think that might be the next one. So you paid her free.
Sounds good.
All right.
Dan Coleman was a good guest, I guess.
Oh yeah.
He's a cool guy.
I like Dan, man. I like Dan a lot. Let me get a couple of questions from the chat here. What's up with you got a girlfriend, Poppy? What's happening right now, man? Single, mingling? What was poly? What's the approach right now?
Right now, I'm just focusing on my business, and I don't know. I just enjoy to spend time with like cool people. So whoever's cool, I'm gonna hang out with. A lot of like in here, it's super fun right now. Like a lot of friends are around here, and there's not, like it changed a lot. It got very like home here. Like I have my place here, and like my friends live in an apartment like right below me, who I work with, and like my roommate is here as well, and his girlfriend's living here half of the time, and so it's like we have to see. And then like friends come over, and like now the summer season starts, so I have a pool on my rooftop, so everyone's gonna be here like all day and just chill and like sit outside, read, have fun, like that's basically the life right now.
Dare I say GTO?
I mean, literally, I told you before, like I don't think I felt much better before in my life. Like it feels really damn good.
It's awesome, man. We got my buddy Digital Fox out there, one of the weirdest commenters on 2+2, but my fucking guy. I got a lot of love for Digital. Keep it up, man. Keep posting those weird videos that I can't quite figure out what you're talking about in my thread on 2+2. He says, question, Joey, ask Fedor what motivated him to start this poker clothing site. Really interested to hear. Really, you can't spell properly. What the fuck, man? You copy pasted this 7 times, my boy, and you can't do it right. I'm really interested to hear, as I'm starting my own poker clothing site, who isn't these days? Come on. Who isn't these days? Yeah, what's up with this clothing, man? What was it, like $1,000 for a hoodie or something? What are you, Kanye West? What's happening with that?
I mean, a lot of people make fun of it, and I would really like to talk about this, actually. So, I mean, obviously, there's been people making fun of it, and but from my perspective, and I know I'm probably, you know, like in the minority of like, to me, like, I really, really put a lot of emphasis on quality. I just like if I spend a lot of time in a hoodie, I just like if it's when it's comfortable, when it's practical. Like, I know how the prices of the production, right? Like, I've spent quite some time with like the clothing industry now, and it's crazy. Like, if you get more into it, like, you know, you can produce a hoodie for, I don't know, if like between $3 and $7 maybe. And if you buy like decent cotton, you probably already spend like $30 for a hoodie. So you can tell, like, they spend nothing on productions and they use shit cotton or fabrics. So, like, you know, if a hoodie costs, and it's like, it's, you know, it's custom tailored to my size, and it's like super comfortable. It's like great for cold and warm, and it has like practical pockets, and you know, like, I don't mind paying someone that spends so much time on it, like 150 euros for a hoodie that costs him like 60, 70 euros to produce. You know, I don't think that, like, that's not a crazy margin at all, and I think, you know, that's totally fine. So from my perspective, you know, they do like limited editions with like different designs. You can like even request different designs from them. They do like custom tailored. If you send them your like you how do you call this, like your measurements. They also take your measurements at PokerStars if you want. And like the thing, what I definitely agree with was the wristband. I totally get that, like, that people said that's too expensive.
Wait, how
I
much
think the hoodies, though.
I don't know what the pricing are. I may have 1,000. I don't know. I don't think they're 1,000. But how much are they?
The hoodies, or what? What do you mean?
How much are the hoodies? How much do they cost?
The hoodies are, I think it matters, like, the price is between, I think, 160 and 280 or something. Depends how expensive the cotton and the fabrication is.
Okay.
Like, so right now, if you do limited editions, it's basically you buy a certain cotton, and then you can only produce like that much. So you can like only produce like 15 or 20 hoodies. So obviously you have to imagine, if you go somewhere and you want to produce 20 hoodies, you know, that it costs a lot more than if you produce 20,000.
Right.
So the quality of the cotton, it's basically like one of the best qualities you can get. So that's just the main factor. Like, obviously, you know, you could do the same thing. I could put my face on like you know, these standard, like, basically that's what everyone does. You put your face on something that costs you $5, you sell it for 40, and
dare I say, GTO, baby.
Yeah,
Boom.
It's not GTO for me, because I want to have one where the team improves, like I'm not saying these hoodies are perfect, right? There's like, I criticize them like all the time, but all the people that have one, literally every single one we talk to loves it. I don't think we have a single person that wears it that doesn't like it. So there's no people that use it and criticize it. And a lot of the people that criticize it have not tried one. So,
Fedor,
you know,
let me ask you a question. How much do you think the most expensive hoodie I own cost me?
I don't know. I mean, you strike me as a person that spends money on hoodies.
Okay.
No, on clothes. That's
okay. So what do you think?
Hoodies. I mean, it's hard to find hoodies that cost money. That's the thing. Like, I don't think there are that many like costly hoodies. I think leather jackets, 1,000. Hoodies, I don't know, 100.
For me?
Yeah.
The most expensive hoodie I have is $2,600 from Tom Ford.
Okay. So you bought an expensive.
One of the worst purchases I've ever bought in my entire life, because I really wanted a Tom Ford hoodie.
Show me. I want to see. Do you have it?
I can find it. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna go find it. And it literally doesn't look like it costs that much, but my second place is one I've had in a lot of photos. My Dolce & Gabbana one that's like $1,300. So I when I hear $250, I think that's cheap, man. I think that's a nice price. I like that price for a hoodie.
I mean, I don't think it's. I personally didn't think it was crazy. I understand why people say it's too expensive. I get that. Like especially, like it's just not. It's not a regular price. Like what the price people see all the time is different. So I understand. But knowing the background, like I can tell them if they would try, they would understand why it's more expensive. Like it's really, you can really feel it.
I was on an upswing, guys. Calm down, okay? I was on a very large upswing, okay? And I gotta buy some hoodie. If you get a question, I'm gonna go. Okay?
Yes, answer questions. Okay, guys, shoot.
They're in the chat. You call one out. Just call one out and say, hey.
Yeah.
What?
Okay. What? Go, guys. Questions.
Do you think poker gambling industry is good for the world? Has a net benefit?
Oh God. Next. Yeah, I'm baking. Okay. How do you eliminate toxic people from your life without being too judgmental? Oh, that's a really good question. I think just being really rational and clear about what you want as well. Like be clear with people what you're looking for. Like, don't be like dishonest, or don't tell them straight away. Like tell them, like this is what you don't like, and this is your perspective. Because if you tell people like your perspective, I think you can't hurt someone with that. Like how you feel and your rational perspective. People are sometimes, but that's not your issue. Like I think if you're honest with yourself and you can like reflectively say, what your issue is, and stay honest to yourself, I think you can get rid of a lot of toxic people in your life. Are you playing a 300K? Yes, I am. Are you going to play online again? Maybe some scoop, but not much. Okay. When will you start producing a vlog? I've been thinking about it, but probably more in my company setting, and then check if we can do something cool with that. Who are your mentors? Who's giving you the most guidance? Mentors, there's 2 business guys that mentor me right now that like are pretty close to my company as well, which I'm super grateful for. And guidance, like in poker, just my team, like the German guys. That was like the most useful for me as a person and as a player. And I think for them as well. We just grew really well together. What are your parents doing for a living? My mom is working in the social sector and self-employed, like started her own business now. That's going well, which I'm really happy for her. And my dad is a policeman. Favorite poker book? Let There Be Range, but that was like years ago, like 4 years ago or something, and I've never really read a poker book. What TV series are you watching? The last TV series I watched was Billions. Can I get a shout out? Sure, Martin Peacock. Shout out to you, man. Wait, is Goosecore the best current player? I think he's really good. Yeah. Is online poker rigged? I mean, of course. I think it's very. You got to play the software.
I think it's very rigged, my friend. Very rigged. Online poker. All right, Fed, I'm gonna show you 2 hoodies I have. Okay, these hoodies are for sale, guys. Anybody wants these out there? This one, first hoodie I ever bought, Fedor. That the hoodie, expensive one.
Let's do it.
Here we go. This one, nice fit. Got this nice Gucci hoodie. When I was crazy, I got a little out of line. I don't even know how much this one costs, and I'm scared to look. But I was obsessed with Gucci one day, and it has all the Gucci colors. That's one. That was the first one. And this is the Tom Ford one. This you would never know. I guess you can't really tell the material of it, but this is the one. Just looks like a regular old hoodie. That's it. Hoodie on hoodie. That's what we got. See, very basic, very simple, but it's got very nice material. Much different than this material for this one right here.
So, yeah, you probably pay 200 for the material and then 2,400 because it says what, Tom Ford?
Dare I say, GT.
Oh.
This Gucci hoodie, anybody wants it on, so you can buy it for me. It's XL. Don't ask why I have an XL, but it doesn't feel like an XL. So that's it.
I mean, it looks really nice. It looks really comfortable, but yeah.
It's actually not, Fedor. I don't like this material.
Great. Goodbye.
Listen, I was
dare I say,
I went through a period of time where, you know what? I never bought clothes before. So I started making some money. I said, you know, I want to buy some clothes, man. I want to buy some stuff. And now I just have it all. So there you go. Did I get scammed? I don't know. Did they scam me? If you give someone money for something agreed upon, is that a scam? Is it, Fedor? No. I don't know. If someone says this costs this, give me the money, and you get this product, this service, and they give it to you, that's an agreed upon thing, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just want to make sure.
Contractual. You bought it as like I don't know how you say this in English, but you bought it as you've seen it. So. Right. You can inspect, touch it, feel it, try it.
Scam by society. Listen, who gives a fuck, man? If you do what makes sense, if you want to buy a fucking $20 hoodie, buy a $20 hoodie. Don't worry about what fucking Steve in the chat and fucking Billy in the basement over there on Twitch says to you, man. You buy whatever the fuck you want to buy. That's what I got to say to people out there. You want to get something, you like it, get it, man. Don't worry about what other people are going to tell you, man. Don't worry about it. What questions did we have? You get a couple good questions in here?
Yeah, I think there were a couple of good questions in there. Shout out to the chat for good questions. Yeah, there were a couple of good ones.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. Let's see here. Let me take a couple more here and see some good ones here. So your plans coming up here, you got Monte Carlo, and then what's after that?
Monte Carlo, back home to Vienna to work more on the app, get it launched. Mexico, really excited for that. Noma, do you know Noma?
Noma?
Mm-hmm.
No.
It's like, I think between like 2005 and 2010, if I'm not mistaken, they've been chosen like 3 times back to back the best restaurant in the world. It's in Copenhagen.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's I thought it was in Mexico. I said, wait, I never heard of
it. No, it is in Mexico. They moved the whole, so like I think they do this pop-up, like they started in Tokyo, I think. Last year they did Sydney, so I went to Sydney when we were in Melbourne for Aussie Millions. And we flew over to Sydney, and that was like mind-blowing experience. It's, I think, cost like $600. So like a third of a, or like a fourth of a quarter of a Tom Ford hoodie, which seems like quite affordable to me.
I mean, listen, when people give you the price of a Tom Ford hoodie to talk to you for an hour, I mean, is it really that much? I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. That was sponsored, man, by the CPA Foundation of Canada. What can I, you know what I mean? Like, no?
It's one pot, one hoodie. Easy.
Yeah, £1, one hoodie, man. I mean, I don't know. Is it that expensive? I don't know. I don't
know. So yeah, they do this pop-up like 2 months a year. They move the whole restaurant to a different country, city. So they did Tokyo, last year they did Sydney, and this year they do Mexico. And so I think somewhere in the jungle, I've seen some pictures already. I'm so excited. Like, so excited.
Who you going there with? Jungle Man, maybe?
I don't actually know the whole group. Like, I don't know who it is exactly. Stevie and his girlfriend, Marine, they booked a trip. And I think it's a table for 8. So I know it's us 3. And I think maybe Steve O'Dwyer is in there as well. And like a couple of other, like probably some poker players, I suppose. So go there, stay some days in Mexico, and then fly to Vegas. And then spend like 2 weeks in Vegas. And then whole summer at home, grinding the pool. Dare I say, GTO.
GTO right there. It sounds pretty GTO way to be, man. So you're not going to be in Vegas for too long outside of that first initial 10-day time period.
Yeah, I think I'd stay there for 14 days and then I'll be home.
Well, people in Vegas are going to miss you this summer, Poppy.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to want to see the young prince. They're not going to get to see the young prince.
I think the next month is going to be really interesting month. Like so many different things, like private and poker and the company and the first product and like getting into the new project and investing in some things as well. And it's just like 1 month like packed with all the results. So I'm very interested in. I can't wait for the feedback on the app. Like this is literally like spent so many hours on it and tried to make it look nice and work nice. So I can't wait for that.
Where's that affiliate link, Fade? You got affiliate out here for people out there sending people to the product, man. Shout out to Poker.
So yeah, there's a lot of things we still have to set up. So we like setting up all the email marketing right now and the affiliation and working with the influencers. And I mean, yeah, it's like just the next month is going to be a shit ton to work. And I can't wait for the feedback, because I think people are going to like you right now, you know, like you. It's kind of a joke, but he also meant it in a way. So like all these things are so valuable.
What I just said right there?
Huh?
To what I just said about that?
No, the affiliation. I mean, that's, you know, like ideas like that are going to be like, you know, with an affiliation link, everyone can get one, like ask a friend, invite friends and stuff like that. With every single detail, you can always make it better. You know, there's always a way to improve the stuff you do. So I can't wait for the feedback of the people. And I really want to be like really close to every, you know, complaint people have about anything. And I think that's the difference.
You're going to get them. Don't worry.
I can't, no, I mean, I'm excited for it. Like, because I can't wait. I think this is the challenge, right? To handle like the bad stuff basically. So.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's going to be a purposeful product, but I mean, I think that's something where it kind of encourages people to use it when they fall off it, because once you get in the habit of sort of you do it and then you go away from it for a few days, it's not really ingrained in our habit system to ever incorporate something like this into our lives. So I feel like that would be a challenge, is just to keep people right. You kind of mentioned that earlier when we first started off. It's just about getting people to use it and spend time on it. And I think a lot of people that'll get it, it's very foreign, so they might not see results, or they might try it and just forget. And sort of like that seems like the challenge, is to get people to actually using it and to finding benefit from it.
I think that's why it is so important to me to have all these loops in there, like, you know, like get them the steady like reminder of like, you know, hey, this is useful for you, like try it out again, you know. And that's why it's so important to A, that they connect quality with the brand, and B, that, you know, you remind them of this, like that's what they think of it. So if one of these two things doesn't work, then I think you're totally right. It would not work.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see how it goes out, man. I'm pumped up. I think it'll be successful. I think that people are going to be excited for it. I think people that are going to want to pick it up. And I mean, I don't know, man. You're big in the Instagram, right? Jonas taught that you do. It seems like you do some Instagramming, right?
Some, like, I don't know. Like the whole social media, I'm just not that great at it. I think I don't know how all these guys take so good pictures. That's the first thing.
It's called the camera. That's what Jonah got this sick.
Yeah, but
sick lens, and that's what.
How do they do it? Like all these selfies, they actually like always have someone that walks with them, and then they take like 2 hours to take the perfect shot, or what?
I think they put I think I'm taking an Instagram story right now. Everyone, make sure you go follow Instagram, Poppy GTO, one of the best Instagram names of all time. But yeah, I think they I don't know how they take the photos. They have someone random do it. Man,
no way. No way.
Yeah,
There's so much work. There's so much work behind this. There's no way people are just like, you know, here, take my camera, take a picture, and then upload it.
Well, I think like Jonah uses a tripod or something like that, or I think he has a slave he brings around with him too.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But
I think there's way more work behind this. Like, you know, like they actually think of like, how do they set up, and like where do they want to stand, and then they're like, where's the camera, and then like, okay, let's do like this. I mean, I think they probably spend half an hour from like,
I mean, you can spend that on anything that you're doing, though. I mean, I think honestly, man, from what I'm learning, a lot of it's the camera and the lens. If you get a sick camera and a sick lens, that's bam. That's a big part of it.
Yeah, just like that's the move, right, Jonah? Just the hand, and then
Yeah, you got to do the hand. You listen. Oh my God, if you guys are watching and you want a cool photo that's gonna fucking impress all your friends, put your hand out in front of you, and then do some cool shit to the background, little Photoshop, just like this, little hand like that. That's Jonah's signature move we picked up from a guy named. Or I guess he says he didn't pick it up from this guy named Blake, who works for a watch company. Shout what's it called again? Movement Watches. Yeah, shout to MBMT Watches. So yeah, let's take. All right, let's get a couple more questions from the chat.
Yeah. Let's put in a couple of questions and then I gotta call it a night.
We're gonna get Fedor out of here, man. Yeah, man. You need for the brand, right? For Prime. I feel like you need a social media guy for that, don't you? You need to fly somebody.
Yeah. I mean, again, like we're looking for basically anyone in any area. Just be, really good. Like whether it's like IT, full stack, app development, backend, whatever. Like just be really, really damn good at what you do, and we can do something.
Cronus says, I know your practice meditation. I'm curious to know how you started and your experience with it so far. Do you feel like it's changed your life in any way?
I haven't done that much lately. Most of what I do is more focus based right now, like trying to get myself into certain situations rather than clearing my mind. But I think it's on my list. I actually have a list of things that I should do where I have no excuse not to do it. And there's 2 things on the list. First thing is big letters, meditation. Second thing is yoga. So definitely will get them into the routine once I have more capacities, less poker. June is going to be the time. I can't wait to maybe even getting a dog. This is like a thing that's in my head right now.
A dog.
Like, yeah, like I'm not going to travel that much anymore and have a lot of good people around me. So I really feel like a dog adds quite a lot of value to my life. Like we have one at my mom's place and I just love it. So
I love it, man. A dog. Finally settle down, not traveling as much. Get yourself a little animal. Conversation starter as well, too. A nice conversation starter between people. You go to the park, got a nice dog with you. Someone comes up, pets the dog. All of a sudden, you're having a story about flying a falcon on your fucking arm and stuff like that. I mean, you never know where that type of stuff leads. You never know, man. You never know. You never know where that type of stuff leads, man. I guess, okay, so I think we're at the point now where anyone that's watching this now is really hardcore. So none of the guys, like all the people who are doing other things. So let's talk about the prop bet. All right. So what's your take on porn right now these days, kid? You in, you out? What's kind of?
I haven't watched in like 1.5 years or something.
No porn ever, huh? It's tough. It's tough to do now.
That was a very good decision. Very, very good decision.
You know what? I found that I don't know, man. I'm back at it. I'm back at it now. After the bet ended, I gave it another 3 weeks, and you know what happened? Here's what happened. I'm going to tell you what happened, Fedor. During that prop bet we had where I couldn't watch porn or masturbate, I had to tell women, I said, do not send me photos. I said, I do not want pictures. Don't send me pictures. I completely stopped doing that because you know what that leads to. But what happened was 3 weeks into January, a girl who podcast people may know sends me over a nice photo, and I was like, not gonna be able to do it, man. I held out so long, and got back into it. And I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm better or worse for it, but those get you, those pictures, man. They get you, Fedor. You know what I mean? No, Shine. Okay, businessman. Never mind. All right. businessman. Hey, don't do nothing. Hey, listen, man, we got to talk about it. It happened, you know. I don't know. The businessman, Elon Musk.
Very serious guy now. Would Elon Musk talk about his name? I mean,
I read the book. Yes, he talks about these kind of things in the book. Yeah, man. He met his woman. He pursued her. Never gave up. And he did it again.
If that's the story, I don't know, but yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
He didn't say jerk up. No, we're talking about a prop bet. Me and Fedor made a bet on the last podcast for myself, and now we're just talking about it. But Fedor's a little shy right now because he's a businessman. He's he's stepping up, and that's okay, man. That's okay.
No, I mean there's just nothing I can add to that amazing story. Like you got a naked picture from, you know, a girl. That's not what can I add?
Why it gotta be naked? Why's it gotta be a girl? What do you mean, man? Why are you making assumptions like that, bro? I got a photo from a person. I got excited, you know? Couldn't help myself.
Anything else would be damn weird.
Shout out to a girl. What is this? What is this for? Hold on a second. All right. 18. Aye. Fedor, how's the karate going?
Very good.
That's it.
I think did I miss a podcast or something? Do you have a new thing?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. Someone asked in the chat, how's karate going? I just assumed karate seems like something you'd be doing. I didn't actually know. No.
I don't know. Like chess, that's all.
Oh, okay.
Chess and soccer.
All right. Okay. So let me give.
It's like, okay, I was like, did I miss like some kind of?
I mean, I don't know. Let me write this one down. Karate. What we got to give karate a dozen?
I mean,
I think we got a couple. I think we had like one or two more, I believe. Yeah, I don't want to throw them off with that stuff. So I agree. I agree completely. All right. Jack said, I would take this be like one of the last ones. Fedor, do you think you could replicate your success now if you started from scratch? Jack Bauerish.
In poker?
Yes.
I mean, that's such a weird question. Like, no. You know, like, it's just so weird how people are like saying all these, oh, you've been so lucky. It's like, okay, I know. So what? You know, and then like, what do you say afterwards? It's like, you've been so lucky. There's like this whole, yeah, of course, like, I probably know better than anyone that says I've been lucky, how lucky I've been. So I've been extremely lucky, but I don't know, like, would I be able to replicate that? No. Would I be able to perform well again? Probably yes. You know, would I be sure? No, hell no. So I think, I said this before multiple times. I don't think I have the perfect setting to be a really good poker player. I think Sauce has a perfect setting to do it, like over and over and over again. You know, like, do I have that? No, I don't think so. Could I be really good in a specific setting? Yeah, I think so. So I think it's just an equity thing, you know, like I ran in the top, 1%. And would I run again in that? Of course not. Sometimes maybe, but definitely not most of the time. So yeah, been lucky, know it. Next.
Any charity? What kind of charity stuff you involved in right now outside of the thing you did last weekend? You mentioned the Germany tournament.
There's a couple. Like, I'm really looking for something right now. Like, if anyone has a really cool idea for something charity with literally 100% charity that is something different than just donating money and like is really cool, I'm 100% listening. And I just haven't found the secret sauce yet. I don't know how I want to do it. It feels not right to me to only donate money. Like, not like I think there's a better solution to it. Like, I want to donate money, but I also want to donate like change the way people perceive that donation. Like, I don't see it as like donating money. I want to like, I don't know, like change the way people perceive it in like a better, more positive way. And so I think it always goes hand in hand with investing time. And so I want to find a project where I feel like it's really awesome to invest time in it, because I think the only thing they need more than money is like caring for them. I think that's actually way more important than money, and I think that's what we don't have enough of.
That's probably something
both
you develop over time, is figuring out a way to be able to give that to people.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's the thing that helps us individual the most. So it probably helps the mass the most too. Like, if you take your time for like someone, you know, that, I mean, now the refugees, for example, right? Like, that's such a cool thing a couple of people have been doing here. It's like really just taking the time to spend time with them and make their life better. And that's like every single case I've heard and seen in my surroundings, and I've a little bit been involved in this too, is like, it's been so positive. You know, it's not like it's been plus for the refugees, been plus for the people that did it. They felt great. They have relationships. They all take something out of it. And I don't know, like, I think this is actually like and that's not charity for me. That's just like, I don't know, doing something that is good, feels good for everyone.
I like it, man. I'm very excited to see what the progress takes you here, my friend. I'm sure we're coming up here. I have no expectations except that I expect Fedor to do potentially well with you know, with maybe the Monte Carlo stuff, podcast run good, obviously, plus the old natural. I mean, I don't know. You feel like you've just got the, I don't know, man. Is there a trick? I don't know. Kate Hall won the heads up match. I don't know. Kate Hall's I don't know. Maybe there could be some sort of thing behind that. So, but yeah, man, I'm excited for the launch of things. I'm excited to see just where things go with everything, man. It's going to be fun to follow along with. I look forward to having you back on the pod some point in time and kind of talking about that. I mean, might be able to do something short when the launch comes out. I think people want to know a little bit more about that too.
For sure.
And yeah, I think I don't know, man. I enjoy the pod as always. I enjoy the vast variety of subjects. It's already been a couple hours here. Already been 3 hours. You know, man. Me and you get in the pod room, kids. Sometimes I don't know, things happen. You know, 5 hours. I don't know. It's like, you know, crazy things happen. So yeah, man. Everybody in the chat.
Maybe next time.
I appreciate all the questions, everybody out there. Shout out to Cordy B out there for the host on Twitch. Shout out to my boy Adrian Phoenix. I saw Angun out there, recent podcast guest, another German poker player coming up in the world. Angun Yaxi. That's how I say Angun's last name. I always forget out there. Jonah as well, of course. Wadaluski. I'll be back. Next podcast, not set in date, but I'm putting out PLO related content every day on my YouTube channel. The Great Game of Pot in Omaha. The most you can bet raise the size of a pot. And those videos are great. And yesterday we had Sean Deeb on. You can check that out if you're bored. And I don't know, man. That's what I got. Fedor, any last parting words? A part of wisdom? Something you'd like to, a piece of words that you'd like to share with the audience as they sign off here and they let the information we've talked about tap into their subconscious brain, and then they go out and decide how they're going to process that information.
I mean, like a lot of the questions I've seen in chat, and like I think there were a lot of really cool ones in there. And shout out, you know, to all of you to be so interactive with us. And as always, I mean, as before, like a lot of the questions went into the direction of like, you know, this mental side of it, which I really like. It's like, you know, I've been doing this, and like, how can I get this better? Or like, how have you approached it? You know, how would you do it if you would do it again? And these type of questions. I think the gist for me is just go with the flow. Like, you know, stay honest with yourself and try really to figure out what is being honest with yourself, and do what makes you happy in the moment, and don't stick too long to like these ideas of, you know, of try to separate what is you and what is like, what, you know, what feels natural and what other people put in your mind, basically. And I think if you find this approach and then you like go over time, it separates more and more and more. And that's where you build character and you become like self-confident, and it feels like, you know, you have your stuff under control and you become driven. And that's at least what I realized for myself. So I think that would be my approach. Just, you know, like figure out what's really you and chase it and go for it.
How can people get in touch with you as well? They've been asking that as like email. Where is it? Twitter? I actually have no idea.
I mean, like, depends for what. Like, I always read everything. I don't respond to that much because like, no, I mean, I actually respond to all the things that I think are cool. So if there's someone that has a cool idea, you know, like all these questions of like, hey, can I ask you something? Like,
just ask you.
You know, just go for it. Or like, I have this idea, can I tell you about it? You know, just like post it, you know, just like let me know, like, and then because the thing you figure out is whenever you engage, there's nothing more. There's nothing there, like no content, nothing. And people are like, oh, I have this idea, but I'm not quite there yet. Like, give me money to get me there.
Oh.
And that's the fun part, where it's always like this kind of, most of these interactions don't go anywhere, but there's like some interactions that actually, you know, might be valuable. And and now this is a moment, I guess, where I want people to know, like, that they have the chance. Like, you know, if you rate something interesting, if you really have something. And I think the big thing a lot of people don't understand is you have really high expectations. If you text me and you're like, hey, the first thing, like, you want something from me. Maybe you don't say it in the first sentence, but at the end of the day, you want something. You want my money, my time, my advice. So, like, for example, I don't know, who did it work with? Like, I think there are a couple of people I chatted with that, you know, are like, I don't think they're known at all in the poker community. They just brought some value to the table, right? If you start and you're like, hey, this is what I can do, this is the value I can provide. I'm like, now, you know, now we have, you know, now we both can profit. Now, you know, you can get what you want, and I like, this is interesting for me too. But if you go to someone and you ask him for like, hey, I want this and I want this and I want this, like, obviously he's not going to be like super amused to talk to you. And I think that was also a big thing in my poker approach. I always try to create like mutual beneficial relationships, and I think that's what every relationship should be like, is that both sides profit, so they both feel good about it. Not in terms of profit, you know, you both get something out of it, but just, you know, it feels like naturally like, hey, I want to, that feels good. I want to spend time with that person. And you know, I think that's just this like Jonah, for example, right? Like, he just gives you a lot, and he has a great heart, and he's like a very, like, he's just a very cool person in that way. And so, like, if people would be more like that, you know, it would be a lot easier to like just have these conversations. And so I think that shows that the option is definitely there. You just have to approach it in a better way, I think.
There we go. There's your answer for you guys. What if they potentially want to work for something and they want to send some sort of resume or email? Is like an email for that?
It's pretty easy to reach me, I think. Like, I'm Facebook or Twitter. Like, if you want to reach me, it is quite easy to reach me, I think. Like, you can, you know, comment on Instagram or like Facebook or Twitter. Right now there's no specific email. There's going to be one, I think, in a couple of weeks for more specific things. But I feel like that would not be, you know, too valuable at the moment anyway. Like, it's just going to be similar to what I get personally. If you really want to get in touch with me and you have a cool thing, you know, or like you want to talk like what you can do, how we can work together, if you have a cool charity idea, whatever it is, like, you can reach out to me. And, you know, if you have a good idea, we can start talking.
There you go. Simple as that, guys. All right, Fedor, much love for coming on the podcast, puppy. We'll be following along with the Monte Carlo trip and with the upcoming Super High Roller trip, and of course the launch of the product. Guys in the chat, much love. Check me out tomorrow. If you're on Twitch right now, you can watch this full podcast on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/joiningroom1. If you want to follow Fedor, just search Fedor Holz on Twitter, or search for myself. I'm sorry, on Instagram. Search myself on Instagram. We're both there. Twitter, same thing. I think most people that want to follow us probably do. And that's it, man. Much love, Fedor.
Yeah, thanks.
As always, my friend. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Poppy, and good night, guys. It's time for me to prepare, get some good sleep in before Monte Carlo, and let's crush this the next couple of weeks.
Let's get after it, man. I expect. I mean, I don't know, man. I got high expectations for you, man. I feel like you're gonna do well. So that's it, guys. We're out of here. Peace out. Much love.